Okay, guys. So me and Veronica went to England a couple months back, and we were in a supermarket.
What? Yeah, that's how you're starting this off?
And we walked up to a shelf, and there was a lone egg sitting there.
There is a... Okay, we're going to... No.
I'm telling the story.
No. Yeah, you turn your volume up. We're going to the checkout counter, right? And I'm not getting anything. And I look over, and there's just like a lone egg sitting on this little display. I pick it up, and Mark's like, oh yeah, that's one of those bouncy rubber eggs. You get like bounce it off the ground. And I look at him, and I'm like, I don't think so. But then part of me was like, well, who leaves just like one egg sitting around, right? So I like clench my fingers, like barely clench my fingers, and the whole egg just fucking explodes and crumbles into my hand immediately and gets everywhere. This man looks at me, this stranger man just staring at me.
Veronica says this like it was some process of like I picked it up and I said that's not true. And
that is what happened.
This is all in the span of like 5 seconds.
She
picks it up and immediately like cracks it.
This is in the span of a minute.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, because I'm arguing with Mark about it. No, fuck
she
you.
only argues after she's broken it. She's like, wait, there's no rubber eggs, and I'm like, there are actually rubber eggs. It was like a 50-50 chance that it would be a rubber egg.
Joe, put a little jigsaw in the bottom left corner.
No, stop it.
Put a little jigsaw in the bottom left corner.
No, what for? For
Why
what purpose?
Hi, and welcome to this wonderful episode of Meeting Halfway.
Guys, welcome to the end of your Meeting Halfway special.
Joe, play the little Five Nights at Freddy's kazoo sound.
What? What? I don't know.
You know, like when you celebrate the end of the fucking New Year's, dumbass.
What do you mean the dun 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 dun?
You like a doorbell sound? No, the keys when you press his nose, it goes.
Okay, that's not the fucking end of
Night
Sign.
That is a kazoo sound.
But that's not.
Wait, did I say end sound? No,
yes,
I said
did.
kazoo sound.
Joe, roll back to what Veronica said when you end the night.
Robert, didn't I say kazoo sound?
You said kazoo sound, but you said
there you go. End of the new year. Fuck off, Mark. Don't look at me like that.
So guys, it was probably our best end of year special yet.
What do you mean it has probably been? We haven't done it yet. You dumbass. Okay, Mark. From a year ago from today, how would you say? Oh, not how would you say? Would you think that this year had been successful for you? Would you say that this has been a good year?
Yeah, I would say this has been a good year.
Yeah, you reached all your goals.
No, I didn't reach all my goals. Sonny had this thing where he does it every year. So back at the end of December last year, he was like, "Okay, everybody, record a video of yourself talking to your phone camera and list all the stuff you want to accomplish in 2023."
When the fuck did he say this?
Oh, you weren't there.
Okay.
You were busy. Yeah, so I recorded one, and I just set all my goals for the year, and I have not reached all of them. I reached a couple, I think, but no.
That's good, though.
The main one I missed was I wanted to write a book, but I haven't gotten the chance. But I am starting to, like, look into it, and...
I haven't started writing it. I've just looked into it.
No, I've been, like, preparing, like, stuff for it, you know?
Yeah, I know.
And, like, calling people who have done it for, like, advice.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I do. I literally...
You were supposed to yesterday, and you didn't call him.
What about the lady who I showed you the pitch Bible for?
You guys called?
No, but I was talking to her.
Yeah.
Well, I was going back and forth with them, asking them questions, and Jesus Christ, what'd you do this year? Fucking nothing. Sit in your ass.
Look at him, like, it's so spiteful. I reached
I also wanted to learn how to... What are you slapping my hand for?
Sorry.
I also wanted to learn how to play an instrument, but I never got the chance to. Just didn't have the time. I started the year by, like, watching a bunch of tutorials on how to, like, learn the guitar and how to learn the piano, and then I just never got around to it. I never had the free time.
You were too busy watching SpongeBob
and
South Park, yeah. Which, I mean, great videos. So
one of them's not out yet.
Yeah. No, it'll be out. It will be out, but
yeah.
So everybody go see LS Mark's new video, ranking every South Park episode.
So Veronica, what did you accomplish this year?
You know what? I have a list.
You wrote a list of your accomplishments?
No, I wrote a list of what my goals were for this year.
Oh, that's right. What'd you have? You had a... Okay,
well, let me get into... Yeah, Yurik recommended this video where rather than having like, rather than having like a goal of like, or like, I don't know how to word this.
Or like.
Yeah, or like, essentially, you should have a theme for your year. If you're making a New Year's resolution, have a theme. So my theme for this year was the year of stability, which, you know,
The year of Baba
the beginning of the year, not so much, but after like a little bit before halfway through, like, you know, around April, then it started turning into the year of stability. And I would say at this point, I definitely succeeded with that. Here we go. So these were the things I wanted to do, was create a very rough animatic for Total Eclipse. Never did that.
You did a little bit.
No, not for Total Eclipse.
Oh, okay.
Save 5K by July for Ireland trip part 2, which I went on Ireland trip part 2, but I didn't save 5K. So that's like half. Get down to 10 commissions, which I did. Make new emotes. Haven't done that. Redesign Patreon and tiers, which I added a new tier and I edited some of the tiers, but I didn't redesign everything. Set deadlines for animatic, which I never even did the rough, so get portfolio together, got that done. Less spontaneous social events, which I would agree, didn't do that. Or, you know, podcast with Mark, did that.
We're doing it right now.
But this is what we're doing. Look at me, I foreshadowed these events. Make a children's book with you, which we never got to do, and do's and don'ts, which was like a little comic series I wanted to do about like previous dating experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But so like a little bit halfway of the things I wanted to do, I did.
Still pretty good.
Which I recommend for all of you guys. Pick a theme for your year.
Yeah.
You
Whether
know,
it be the theme of Mr. Beast, the year of Baba
the
Booey.
year of Baba Booey.
The year
My
of-
my Chinese zodiac sign.
Yeah.
The Baba Booey monster.
Yeah, no, but even if I didn't get everything done this year, I also acknowledge that I did a lot of stuff this year that I didn't have on my like, you know, to-do list.
Yeah. Move to America.
Yeah. Well, moving to America.
Moving to
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, no. I think it's been a good year. It's been a solid
I would agree.
year.
And well, like, you know, you compare where you were last year, literally a day, this day last year to today, completely different.
I know.
Completely different.
It's
you know?
crazy.
I know, it's pretty wild. And you know what is also wild? The show Shameless.
Yeah, guys. Okay,
Okay,
so
wait. I've been watching. What? Don't flip your head.
guys, have you noticed every time I want to tell a story? Well, okay, but
No. That's because Mark's trying to overstep where he shouldn't be right now. I've been watching Shameless over and over for the last like 5 years. Okay. Shameless is one of my favorite shows, and I would rewatch it while Mark was in the room, and he would have no context to what I'm watching, right?
I'm watching like random episodes of like season 5 and like 2 or 3 or just whatever Veronica had on. I'd like catch it every now and then.
And so I decided, I was in a call with Sunny, and I was like watching an episode, and Sunny was just kind of bored watching a random episode with me, and I was like, you know what, Sunny, you should watch episode 1. You should watch episode 1, you know? And he's like, I'm not gonna watch this because you're gonna make me watch the whole thing. I don't want to watch the whole thing. I don't want to invest in anything. I put on episode 1, immediately he's hooked. And after we watch like the first 3 episodes, Mark jumps in.
But I'm watching like this is around whenever I was working on my SpongeBob video, so I was like in and out. I would watch like half an episode of like season 1, episode like 5, and then just tune out, and then come back in at like the end of season 1 and like watch. But by like season 2, like I was done with the South Park video, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and
SpongeBob
start
video.
watching. SpongeBob. I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and
Start watching
playing
this.
And then we all got really invested.
They all got really, really, really into it, which made me happy because it's one of my favorite shows.
But there's 11 seasons of that show. Every season has like over 10 episodes, and
They're all an hour long.
They're all an hour long. So we just finished it like 2 weeks ago when Sunny was in town, and
That was a month ago, dude.
no, that was not a month ago.
That was more than a month ago.
That was when Sonic Frontiers came out. Holy shit.
But we finally finished it, and mind you, like I said, I've been rewatching the series multiple times. But every time I rewatch the series, I stop at season like 8 or 9, because at that point it really drops off. And I never actually finished the whole series. I did not finish watching season 11.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just stopped. So I was like, you know what? I'll actually finish the series and I'll watch it with you guys. So it'll be like my genuine reaction to the end of this whole thing as well. And boy, did it fucking suck.
Yeah, okay, and spoilers for Shameless. If someone wants to, go watch all 11 seasons of Shameless right now and then come back. And then you'll get what we're talking about. Hopefully you'll feel our frustrations.
Joe, can you put a picture of Jigsaw with a big giant word that says spoiler alert Like right above him.
Why Jigsaw?
No,
He's the mascot for the channel.
It's just funny.
Guys, someone draw me and Veronica in a saw trap. But
In a saw
but
trap?
draw really gory, like Veronica's having her like eyes torn apart.
Mark
like,
with his mouth agape, like ripped open. The reverse bear trap.
Yeah, that'll be funny.
Okay, so going into it, I noticed something immediately. When we were in the car driving over here, I noticed it immediately. And I don't know why I never thought about it. They set up this precedent that because they're from Southside, because they are from like a lower income housing area, that everything is punching down on them. They get opportunities and it gets fucked for them.
Yeah, that's the whole theme of the show, is that it's this family who live in like the poor side of Chicago.
They live in the South Side. South Side.
Yeah, they keep reminding you at every turn that they live in Southside, and that's like their go-to excuse for all their fucking like all their bad deeds.
There's one scene where Fiona's doing kickboxing and she beats the shit out of her instructor for no reason, and she keeps going, South Side, South Side.
He's like, "Why'd you do that?" And she's like,
Southside.
I told you, Southside.
It's so annoying. But so like this is the thing, is they set up character motivations and they set up plot points for certain characters that they do not follow through on at all.
No.
They completely abandon multiple character plot points through in the series.
So that's just to pick up another one, and because by the first couple seasons, it's like pretty straightforward.
fleshed out,
It's
yeah.
like there are these set amount of characters, and the show is only focused on them and what's going on with like their current situations.
And how they're shameless because they constantly try to do things that are illegal by cheating, lying, or stealing to get a leg up.
So then by around season 7 or 8, you can like they've gotten rid of most of their secondary characters. They've all completed like their general arcs, and all the characters have gotten older, so they need to like find more stuff to do with them. So all the characters start getting like little plot points or arcs that kind of like pick up, go nowhere, and then are dropped off for like another like sitcom like oh, they're doing this in this episode, you know,
like for instance, I think the biggest one to really point out is the whole Svetlana plot point, where originally Kevin, who is up the barkeep or whatever, he decides to turn his upstairs apartment into a rub and tug. So him and Mickey Milkovich decide to have whores come and live in the upstairs apartment and jerk people off for money, right? Well, one of the whores ends up becoming a love interest for Mickey, or not a love interest, but she ends up like fucking Mickey. She gets forced to fuck him by his dad. This is so convoluted. Because he's gay and he was fucking Ian, right?
Was that one of the main characters?
It was the main Gallagher, one of the main Gallaghers.
Yeah, not the main Gallagher.
Not the main
Fuck
one.
Ian.
Well, actually, they make him. They do make him the main Gallagher at the end. But essentially, yeah, Mickey fucks Ian, gets caught by his dad. He gets a prostitute to fuck his son to make him straight. The prostitute gets pregnant. Mickey ends up marrying her, and they have a kid, right? Well, that same prostitute named Svetlana, she ends up coercing Kevin and Veronica.
His wife.
Yeah, his fake wife.
His wife.
It's his fake wife at that point, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, his wife, who both like run the bar. They end up having a threesome and a throuple, and they all decide to like be one big like family group. But then they end up like turning it around and making Svetlana like a cheating, lying whore, where she just like completely steals their money and like has them like assign the bar over to her.
Yeah, the later seasons do something I really hate, where one character, they'll like build up a character and you'll be like, oh, I like this person, and then within like one episode it'll be like, oh,
ruin him.
They're completely different, you know?
Yep.
Like, oh, we just want them to get out of the show right now, so we need a reason for you to hate them.
They completely like, they do it to Karen, they do it to Mandy, they do it to Svetlana.
They do it to
Kelly.
They do it to
They do it to, well, Steve is, that's
yeah,
a
they
plot
do it to,
point.
Okay, yeah, so Fiona gets the whole thing
Wait,
with like,
we gotta finish the arc with Svetlana at least.
where, yeah, just
She steals their bar, and then at the very end they decide to like call ICE on her. It's like
Yeah.
a whole, everything is a political point.
but then they go to ICE and get her out of ICE eventually, don't they?
Yeah, they get her out saying, oh, actually I was married to her. Just JK, don't arrest her no more. She actually is my wife. And then she ends up divorcing them and marrying an old man.
And that's it.
And that's it. That's her plot point.
Yeah.
But they never follow through with Mickey and his kid. The kid just like completely disappears by the end of her like arc. They don't actually like deliver.
Whatever happened to the kid?
The kid's just not there anymore.
I know he's living at Kevin V's house.
No.
Yeah, he is.
They're taking care of Yevgeny.
Not by the end, but yeah, I guess they don't explain what happens to the kid after she gets married, but
It's weird.
yeah. But so the whole thing for like season 1 and 2 is all about Fiona, the mean Gallagher, who's like the oldest,
the head of the household.
Yeah, she meets this guy called Steve.
Yeah, she meets this guy at a bar named Steve.
And he loves her.
And he's rich.
He's like, I love you.
He's rich and he buys her things. And she's like uncomfortable with it, but it's the first like relationship she's actually really, really considering.
Yeah. But then a bunch of shit happens. She realizes that like he steals cars for a living. And he's like involved with a lot of bad people.
But she's okay with it because it turns her on.
Yeah. That's the thing. Fiona's not a good person in this show. Well, she makes mistakes. A lot of mistakes.
Fiona makes like huge mistakes that affect everyone.
I can't say she's not a good person because she's like takes care of this family with like for no reason.
Yeah, she had to sacrifice her own childhood to raise like 5 of her
brother
siblings.
And sisters. Yeah. So no, I can't say she's a bad person, but she makes a lot of mistakes. But yeah, so eventually they write Jimmy out of the show. They do it twice. They have him out of the show, then come back, and it's like, oh, will they get back together? And then it's like, no, okay,
then
they're
the
not.
second time they tease that he gets killed.
Yeah, which he doesn't. And then he comes back like 3 seasons later randomly, and it's like he's a completely different character. It's like in the older ones, you can at least see why Fiona was like wanted to be with him because he was kind of like
he's kind of charming. He was kind of charming, cool, and he had suave. And then they make him a total fucking pussy.
Yeah, in the like
And the second time he comes back,
they need to get rid of him, so they're like, oh, Fiona and him aren't gonna work out because he won't sacrifice. He can't like live a normal life without like stealing cars and shit like that.
Yeah, he can't live a normal life without having the thrill of like stealing, cheating, lying.
Yeah.
Right. And also, his parents are like going through a divorce. Because his dad is fucking Ian.
Every social conflict in this show revolves around one character fucking another.
It all revolves around sex.
Like Sunny started screaming at one point because every scene was like started with like characters fucking.
The whole first like 3 seasons, everybody's fucking as like an establishing shot.
Yeah. But then they tease it like Jimmy died. And then they bring him back at one. Oh yeah, his real name was Jimmy.
His real name was Jimmy.
And so they bring him back a couple seasons later, and he's just completely different. It's like he doesn't say anything other than like the essentials. He's basically just back because
he just love bombs Fiona.
Yeah, the writers want to be like, okay, we need to bring him back to establish that why they're not good for each other, why he's actually a bad guy.
Even though needs to move on. It was already established they were not good for each other.
Yeah,
but they wanted to give this character a conclusion for Fiona.
So they came back and brought him back as like a cartoon character who's like, run away with me, Fiona, run away with me.
Oh no, that's the second time he said that.
That's the third time though. Remember, he's like, come to.
He buys her a ticket to go to like Puerto Vallarta with him or something.
No, remember the last time with there's the other girl with him who keeps watching over Fiona at the diner.
Yeah.
And he's like, come with me. You know, we're going on a.
They're going to like Brazil or.
It's
something.
like I have one last job to do, and then we can.
And then I'll have a bunch of fuck you money, and we can live together on the beach and.
Yeah, and but he doesn't try to like convince Fiona with any actual words. It's like, just come on with me, do it, I love you. But that's all he says.
But that's all he says for everything.
But but in the earlier seasons, you could at least see why Fiona would like fall for him.
The very first episode, he tells her like this poetic type thing to describe how he's really into her, how she is the type of woman where when she's dancing for herself. She's not dancing because she wants people to see, right?
Yeah.
He's super romantic, and as it goes on, he just becomes such a fucking pussy, lame loser. Mm-hmm. Like he has nothing of value to give to Fiona other than fake momentary gratification.
But they have in his final appearance, they pushed that to like 11. To where it's like, why would Fiona ever be like...
Why would she consider this?
Yeah, and she clearly never does.
Because it had been like 2 years.
Yeah.
He had been gone for 2 years, and all of a sudden he shows up.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I love you. Run away with me. I love you. And then she doesn't. She makes a decision not to. And his like partner is like, yeah, Jack's a shitty guy, you know. But I really like getting to know you. And like, that's the closure for Fiona. It's like, he lied about himself again.
Yeah, and it's like, but I already knew all this stuff.
Exactly. Like, he had already lied and left you for 2 years. Why wouldn't, like, what? This was unnecessary. It was just to bring in drama momentarily to fuck over her like, her relationship currently.
Yeah.
Because that always was what Steve was. He was a plot device to fuck over whatever she was doing to progress.
Yeah.
But then there's a point where they just make Fiona, like, a total fuck up.
She gets a job at this cup place, and she starts dating the boss. And then she ends up, like, she has a really good job. Like, it's just, everything's going good for Fiona.
But then she meets his brother, who is an addict, and he's addicted to chaos.
Yeah.
And he, for no reason, does not know her. He's like, you're addicted to chaos. I know you are. And then they just start making her, like, act out on impulses.
She's like, you're right.
You're right.
And then they start fucking. And then, so now she's just cheating on this guy with her brother. And,
with his brother.
With his brother. Not with her brother.
Yeah.
And they keep that going until she gets caught. But then every time after that, for like the next 3 or 4 episodes, she keeps going to the brother to be like, you fucked me over. And he's like, I didn't fuck you over. You did everything
He's like,
yourself.
You came to me.
And then there's like silence, and he's like, you want some Coke? And she's like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And then
They just like make her out to be like a coke fiend.
yeah, and then she goes on like a drug binge.
Well, you're skipping over the biggest thing.
What?
After she sabotages her relationship with the cup guy, right? The brother is the one that out her. The brother tells the cup guy, his brother, that he had been fucking Fiona, and they break up. And he comes over and offers her a baggie of Coke. And she takes the Coke, and she does it with Veronica and Kevin.
I forgot about this.
And their little brother Liam, their little black brother, comes over, takes the Coke, ODs, and
Yeah,
they have to
it's
call the
like-
paramedics.
It's like a big party scene that's like goes on for like 5 minutes with all the Gallaghers dancing, doing Coke, and they're like, wait a minute, what's going on? They
Where's
turn around and
Liam?
Liam's laying on the ground covered in
Fucking
Coke.
convulsing. Like, she gets arrested for giving a baby amphetamines,
Yeah,
and she goes to jail for like 90 days.
I forgot about that.
And she's like arguing with Lip about whether or not she should take it to trial, and Lip's like, you fucking bitch. Like,
yeah,
this
she
is,
doesn't want to accept that. She's like, it was one mistake, and he's like, it was a fucking big one though. And she's like, but I'm
you could
sorry.
have killed him. And she's like, but I didn't mean, I'm not an addict. And he's like, then get your shit together. And she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to accept that she did anything wrong until the very final point where she's in front of the judge, and then she finally pleads guilty.
Yeah. And then, okay, so Fiona goes through a bunch of other shit through the series that we don't have to fucking go into.
Yeah.
But by season 9, the actress who plays Fiona was like complaining about not getting paid enough money or something like that.
She wasn't getting paid. She felt like she deserved to get paid more.
Yeah.
And they were like, fuck you.
I think it was that she wasn't getting paid as much as William H. Macy.
Yeah. Who is
the main character, but Fiona takes up, I would argue, more screen time
yeah,
than Frank.
Fiona, I would agree with her in that regard, but also at the same time, William H. Macy makes the show. Fiona doesn't make the show.
Yeah, he's also like a big shot celebrity, you know?
Yeah, he's a very big name celebrity, but
But
he is the reason why Fiona is important.
He's the face of it.
Yeah.
But I could see why she'd be pissed. Because she was doing most of the work.
Yeah, and it had been like this for 10 years.
Yeah, so she leaves the show, and they have to write her out of the show after the last 2 seasons.
But the way they write her out of the show is really shit, because as soon as she's gone, they never talk about Fiona.
Yes.
They never bring up Fiona.
So she leaves, and she leaves $50,000 on the fridge, and she gives it to her.
Well,
what am I skipping?
you're skipping everything.
What?
How she got the 50,000.
Why do we need to talk about her selling the building?
You gotta talk about her downfall, what happens, and then why she leaves.
Is it necessary?
I guess not. All right, go on.
What do you want to talk about with her downfall? Go into it. If you think there's something interesting there, go.
Okay. After the cup guy, after the drug charges, she gets a job at this place called Patsy's Pies, right? Where she's fucking her boss again. And this guy is an addict, so she what?
This guy's played by like the worst actor on planet Earth. he's like 30 years older than Fiona, so he's like really elderly, and Fiona's like this nice like 20-something-year-old lady, and he's like, I'm an addict, Fiona. Don't you understand?
Don't you understand? You are chaos. I'm addicted to things like you.
He's like, I love chaos.
He's so fucking lame. He has these quips, and he has like this annoying like smolder voice he tries to put on with like a furrowed brow.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the worst. His name is Sean. Put up a picture of Sean.
Put a little hat on his head, a little party
No, take
hat.
off the hat, make him bald.
Yeah. Too much work.
No, you can do it. But yeah, so she starts fucking her boss. She wants to marry her boss, right? Turns out, oh, he's an addict, like he said he had been this whole fucking time, and he's doing heroin while they're trying to get married, and Frank, William H. Macy, is the one to out him in front of the whole family.
Yeah, and at that point, everyone's like, fuck you, Frank, that was too far. But I'm like, good, like, thank you, Frank. Like, he's supposed to be the bad guy, but I'm with him on that situation. I'm like, fuck Sean.
But the reason why it's fuck you, Frank, is because he did it
Out
to
of spite.
spite.
Yeah, because he didn't like Sean.
Because he didn't like Sean, and he doesn't give a shit about Fiona being happy.
Yeah.
You know?
But in retrospect, it's good that he told
It
her.
is, yeah, it is good that, well...
That her soon-to-be husband was literally shooting up heroin the day of their wedding.
But it's not like she didn't fucking know he was a heroin addict.
He said he'd stop.
She went to Narcotics Anonymous. He's an addict, though. He could relapse. Like, that's just...
On their wedding day, though?
That is fucked. That is fucked. Yeah, I agree. That is fucked. But if you were considering spending the rest of your life with somebody who has an addiction problem, then I would feel like there needs to be some sort of, like, understanding.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean she can't get, like, upset that he's fucking on heroin the day of their wedding.
Yeah, but I think it's unreasonable for her to get upset when he chases after his son over her.
Yeah, that part was weird. It's like it's his kid.
You can't make him pick his son over you. Like, he will always pick his son over you. Which, you know, whatever. So, he gets written out of the show at that point.
Good.
He gets good, because he was a really annoying character. Also, can I just point out that, Jeffrey Dean Morgan was the original character that was supposed to be Sean's character, and then they just he's like shown at the ending of the season where she gets hired at Patsy's Pies, and then the next season just shows up, it just has Sean and her playing with water, and it's like, who the fuck is this guy? And it's just implied he's the same guy.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was a new manager.
It's like they have two different names, so clearly they're not the same.
He's the same
but
role.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same character essentially. But anyway, so she ends up wanting to do something better for herself. She's the manager at Patsy's Pies. Patsy's Pies is kind of turning into a shithole, and she's turning it around. So she ends up talking to, like, the property manager and asks, like, for her to, like, give her essentially a pay raise for making Patsy's Pies more profitable. And she realizes that this property manager was also Southside, and she made a name for herself and is, like, a bajillionaire now. So Fiona is trying to be like that. She's trying to be an entrepreneur. So she takes out a loan for money and buys a laundromat.
Yeah.
And flips it, essentially. She starts trying to get into real estate, but she knows nothing about it. And constantly everybody is telling her, you know nothing about this. You don't know what you're doing. And she acts cocky and takes out 2 mortgages to make herself be a property manager, a successful property manager in Southside.
But it works for a little bit. She buys an apartment at complex, and things are going fine, except all the issues that arise are simply from her being too nice.
It's from her not setting aside her pride from being from Southside and being somebody who has like a superiority complex over this, like, economic situation.
For example, at one point, there's, like, this homeless family that their father just lost their job, and she's like, well, you can stay in one of my places for free for, like, the night while you figure things out. And then they lock themselves in the room and don't come out, and everyone's like, call the police. Call the fucking police. And she's like, I can't, I'm Southside.
We don't snitch.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is your fucking property. And
That's at that point of the show, I'm like, fuck you, Fiona. Just fucking leave. All this is your own doing.
But the whole point, the only reason why this is even a point is because the topic of that season was gentrification.
Yes.
Because after the first 4 episodes, it starts becoming every scenario for each character is a political point. They are making a political statement about what's happening at the time. So at that point in the series, it was about
4 seasons.
I'm sorry?
You said 4 episodes.
After the first 4 episodes or seasons. God.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. Everything is political commentary on what's going on in the world.
It doesn't feel like the characters are
driven by their own character.
Yeah, it feels like they're driven to places that's like, oh, well, we can comment on this, like, right here.
Yes.
Like, we can comment on this. But we'll get into that with the other characters in a bit. Let's finish off Fiona.
So, yeah. So Fiona ends up
going bust.
Well, she joins, like, a firm where they're all brokers who, like, try to, like, buy property, and they're all trying to get in on equity in the area because gentrification, and they want to turn Southside around, right? And she has to put in $100,000 into this property.
Which she doesn't have.
So she takes out a loan for a lien against their own house to get the money to be a part of this firm.
And this is after, like, 500 fucking episodes of them trying to get this house, you know, because it didn't belong to them, and then they need money for it.
Multiple efforts of them either having to try and buy the house or try to, like, swindle or kill their, like, relatives to get the deed from them.
Yeah,
like all this shit.
There's a lot, like, riding on this heist. This is the Gallagher heist. We're Gallaghers. That's the other thing.
Yes, they say that all the time. But so
Southside, we're Gallaghers.
Baba
Booey. Howard Stern's penis, Baba Booey.
So it gets to a point where the brokerage firm, or, like, the little group of people who are, like, buying all these properties, they're like, oh, well, we need $20,000 more. And obviously, she does not have $20,000. So she keeps dodging this guy's calls, and he's like, if you don't give him the $20,000, then you lose your $100,000. You lose. Good day, sir. And so she starts freaking out. She's fucked out of her money. she ends up meeting up with this guy, and he offers to buy her apartment off of her.
Yeah, because he catches her working at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, he catches her working at like
a gas station.
like a gas station.
And he's like, okay, I will give you all your money back for your share. And she's like,
I'll buy you out of your share.
yeah, she's like, Baba, yes.
But he's also like, I will also buy this property off of you.
Yeah, the building estate.
The apartment that she had like flipped. Yeah.
But she's like, but that's mine.
And they demolish the building, and she gets real. This is when Fiona starts going into her alcoholism.
Yes.
Sorry. She ends up becoming. She starts heavily drinking because everything that she had built up, she loses.
She's back at square one.
Essentially she is back where she started, at the fucking bottom in Southside, and has nothing for her
too close to
name.
the sun.
Exactly. And after she gets that check for $100,000, she decides, fuck this, I'm out, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Yeah. So she gets 50K, she puts it on the fridge.
And gives it to Debbie.
Gives it to Debbie, her younger sister, under the pretense that it is split 10 grand amongst each Gallagher kid.
Yeah, every
Keep that
single
in mind.
one.
Keep
every
that
single
in fucking
one
mind.
are supposed to get a chunk of this $50,000.
Because, okay, there's 5 Gallaghers. There's Liam, there's Ian, there's
Lip.
Carl, there's Debbie, and there's another
Lip.
one. Lip.
The best one, the best character, dude. So that's Fiona, right? Fiona is like established to be this like responsible adult figure within this life that's really fucked up, having to deal with the harsh circumstances that Frank, her father, puts her through.
Yeah, he's
while
like a drug
also,
addict.
Yeah,
like
drug addict, alcoholic.
He beats them.
He doesn't. He'll hit them, but he doesn't beat them.
He beat them.
He does not beat them.
He headbutt Ian in like episode 2.
He hits them. That's not beating them.
Okay, he hits his kids.
He'll hit his kids when he's in a drunken rage. You know. I mean, there's no scene where he grabs a bar of soap in a fucking sock and beats the shit out of Carl, like
Or Liam.
or Liam, covered in coke. But so like, you know, Fiona is established in the beginning of the series as this responsible adult, and throughout the series, she slowly dwindles in her responsibility and becomes lesser and lesser of what she was.
Yeah.
And she tries to get out. She's constantly trying to get out, and she's always fucking falling back.
Which I would argue is her own doing, as in like season 3 when Jimmy's still around, she fights for custody of the kids to become a guardian of the kids, like a legal guardian.
That's season 2, I think.
Yeah, and Jimmy is like Fiona, and even the guy who is like giving her
the judge,
like custody, the judge is like, look, like you're young, like you got your life ahead of you. This is the next like your younger brother is like 3 years old. This is the next like 15 years until they're 18. Like this is what you have to deal with. And she's like, I understand.
But she has to be guardian because multiple times Frank fucks it up for them, where Child Protective Services get involved and all the kids, all the siblings get split up and put into foster homes.
Yeah, so it's a comedy show, by the way. Let's reiterate.
Yeah, this is it's a drama. It's a dramedy.
Yeah.
Drama comedy, right? So, you know, she has to be the guardian for these children because she constantly keeps getting fucked out of having her family stay together because of her alcoholic father.
So she lasts like 5 years. Liam's like 7 or 8, and she's like, I'm out. Bye.
Yeah, she literally leaves Liam. To the point where like Liam has to fend for himself, and it even considers like thinks he's gonna be homeless. Yeah. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares.
Fiona takes her own 50 grand and leaves the Gallagher house, and she says goodbye. All the family, like, Lip's like, oh, let me get everyone together and we'll have, like, a goodbye party. And she's like, okay. And then as soon as Lip leaves, she's like, I'm leaving. I can't,
yeah, she's like, I can't say goodbye or
There
I'll
is
stay.
no scene of her saying bye to any fucking, like, Gallagher except for
Ian and Lip. Except for Ian and Frank and Lip.
And Lip,
yeah. And Lip. That's it.
And, yeah, so her little sister, doesn't say bye. Little Liam doesn't say bye. Not for Carl. Not for her best friend, Veronica.
Yeah, not even
Kev.
for Veronica or Kev, who are her neighbor best friends.
Yeah, and
nobody gets a proper goodbye with her except Frank.
Yeah.
I feel like an actual proper goodbye.
And me and Veronica disagree on this, because I like her goodbye to Frank, and Veronica doesn't.
Okay, I'll say it objectively. This is what happens. Fiona, as everyone's gone getting all the party stuff for her goodbye party or whatever, Frank is laying on the couch because Frank had broken his leg and he's pretty much immobile. So he's been like vegging out on the couch. And Fiona grabs her suitcase, and as she's leaving, Frank is like, thanks for taking care of the kids. And you know, he's like, you know, you did a good job, something like that. A very quick response. And Fiona kind of just scoffs, smiles, and like leaves. Like, you know, like nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's still the same. You know,
And there's like a big long shot of Frank, and he's clearly like upset. You know, he's starting to tear up a little bit.
You can see his eyes are a little watery.
Yeah.
But I personally think it's not enough emotion.
See, I think it's enough. I think because Frank, at least at that point in the series, was a character who didn't like break down very often.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Like, Frank has a little excursion with this woman named Bianca, who is his fucking doctor, who ends up the doctor finds out that she has like stage 4 fucking pancreatic cancer. She is going to die. So he exploits this woman because she has a ton of money because she's a doctor, and she wants to live her life to the fullest. And Frank is the kind of person where he wants to live each day like it's going to be his last, which is why he drinks, which is why he does drugs, which is why he scams, he does shit for himself, you know. So he goes on this big old fucking adventure with this woman, and we're just spending her money, going to fucking like Costa Rica, that, you know, like, and after she dies of cancer, there are like weeks where Frank is crying and weeping at her gravestone like he is the saddest he'd ever been. Also, Monica, his wife, Fiona, and everyone's mom. When Monica dies, he has a fucking breakdown. He starts crying all the time. And then at one point he flips it around and he's like,
Fuck Monica. You know, she was the weight that was holding me down.
but no, he was emotional for these women who did not fucking matter. And he couldn't even be emotional for his daughter, who did everything for him. Not to mention when he gets his liver transplant, there is a little girl in the ICU right next to him who has like a heart condition, and Frank is so like fucked up on drugs like morphine or whatever that he thinks that little girl is Fiona. And obviously like the little girl ends up dying because she can't get a heart transplant in time, so she dies, and Frank thinks it's Fiona dying, and he starts crying and he starts freaking out.
Yeah, but there's a difference in thinking that she died and thinking that she's just leaving, you know. If anything, it could be a thing where he's happy that she's gone, you know, that she's leaving this place, you know. It could be like the end of Belfast, where the old lady, come on, get out of here, get out of Belfast.
But it's not, though. It's not. Because there are multiple times where he does not want the family to leave. He wants everybody to stay under his roof.
Really?
He wants to keep the house. He wants to keep his kids.
He wants to keep the house, yeah. I don't think he cares about the kids staying
He doesn't care about the kids, but he's always like, these are my kids. I care about my kids.
Gallaghers.
You know, when it comes to like him talking about how Monica leaves and abandons his kids, that's where he steps up and he's like, I love my kids. I would do everything for my kids. Which he doesn't, but in some ways he does.
No.
In some ways he does.
Like what? He's never there for his kids.
Like Liam. He was there for Liam, trying to get Liam to school.
At the end of his life.
Franny, when he was helping Franny get to her
At
school.
the end of his life.
Let me think.
Okay, let's talk about Frank.
Okay, yeah.
Let's talk about Frank. Fiona's gone, and Fiona's out of the series until the fucking end.
No, out of the
she's
series.
out of the series, and she is mentioned
Twice.
twice more in passing, and we'll get to that with Frank, because it fucking leads into a horrible. This show has a fucking.
I think we should get to Frank at the end.
Okay, we'll go through all of them
because the ending, yeah.
And Fiona's a big one, so don't worry. Like, there's like 3 main Gallaghers, and like a couple of them just go by and like nothing. Like Liam,
Carl and Liam.
Liam's the youngest Gallagher, the black kid. And that's the whole joke they make with him, is that he's Frank's kid, but
he's black.
So what they do with Liam is basically nothing.
They do nothing with Liam
up until like season 7, because they hired some kid to play like a 2-year-old Liam, and by the time that kid's like 6 years old, they realize
replace him.
They realize he can't act for shit,
and they completely replace him with a different kid.
And they expect you not to notice that suddenly a different
it's
kid.
So jarring. They don't look the same at all. But okay, so Liam has no plot except for the fact that he's exploited as a black kid. Yes. He gets into here's a good one. Frank didn't like the public school because he was getting bullied, so he got him into a private school. That was pretty good. Okay?
That's pretty good.
But the only reason why he was into the private school was because he was a black kid and they needed diversity to show off to other parents who wanted to go to this private school.
And this is near the end of the show, by the way.
No, it wasn't. This was like season 6 or 5.
6, really?
Yes.
No, it wasn't 5. 5 was when Lip was in college.
You're right. So like season 6.
I think this is like 7 or 8.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So, but this is when the show is like going downhill.
Yeah.
Is what I want. Is what I mean.
At this point, this is when it starts becoming really annoying.
Yeah. So they take that plot point though of Liam like being aware that he's like one of the only black kids in his family, or the only one
in his family and in school.
Yeah, and he wants to find out more about his like
culture.
So he starts like dressing as a different black like historical figure in like every episode.
He dresses up as like Bob Marley one day, then Martin Luther King one day, then Malcolm X one day, and he's trying to figure out what it means to be a black man.
Yeah.
And
Which
they constantly
is all fine.
they constantly play I'm a black man in a white world like
Yeah,
over and over for each time Liam's on screen. And Sonny's like, "Yes, let's go. That's me."
I'm a black man in the white world. I'm a black man in the white world. I'm a black man in the white world. I'm a black man in the white world.
Yeah, so I know that stuff, like, that concept is whatever, that's fine. But
the only reason why they were doing it was because at the time, the Black Lives Matter movement was going on.
Yeah, so it didn't feel like it was... Because nothing about that character ever had anything to do with that before. It was just because they wanted to comment on this stuff.
Yeah.
Which, again, is fine. But the conclusion they bring for that for Liam's character is Liam just being like, whatever, who cares, so I'm black anymore. I'm just going to be a Gallagher and scam everyone.
So essentially, he feels like he doesn't fit in. He feels like he doesn't fit in with his family because he's black, and he feels like he doesn't fit in with black community because he's too whitewashed.
He's been raised by white people, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, he's at this crossroads to the point where he finds this man, this older man.
Like a mentor.
Yeah, and he starts being his mentor. But as he's going on, he's realizing that the more he's trying to, like, go along with what this mentor has to bring to him, the less he's really being himself, and the less he's being himself as how he was raised. So he ends up scamming this guy out of a bunch of money and being like, I'm a Gallagher. We're Gallaghers. So that's his thing, is he's like, I don't need to fit in. I'm a Gallagher. I'm from Southside.
And you're like... And then at that point, Liam has a nice arc with Frank.
Yeah.
Where he starts to just... Because at this point in the series, Frank is like getting very sick. He's dying.
He has dementia and he's dying.
And Liam, his whole role in the show is just kind of like be Frank's little sidekick for a couple episodes.
He's
and like take him around and try to help him.
He wants to help Frank.
Yeah.
He knows that Frank is shit, but he doesn't like to see him suffer. He has like sympathy for him.
And when we talk about, we'll like focus on the finale as its own thing and like how all these arcs conclude properly. But at that point in the series, you're like, okay, I like Liam by the end of Shameless.
Yeah, at the end of Shameless, Liam becomes a very well fleshed out character.
Yeah.
For a while, they just, like I said, they just use him for political commentary.
Yeah.
But then when they actually start like having him interact with the other siblings and Frank, that's when he starts actually having a personality.
This is the part that doesn't work about it. They spend like 5 seasons where the only joke about him is that he's black. Like, just constantly making jokes about him being black. And then suddenly they're like, okay, but you know, this is actually a serious subject matter. It's like, no, you've not been treating him like that at all.
And it's really funny because within the first, like, 2 seasons, they start arguing. The first season, actually, Monica comes back, and Monica has, like, a new girlfriend who's a truck driver, and they want to take Liam with him because they don't think that Liam is Frank's.
Yeah.
So it's this whole thing where they don't believe that Liam is Frank's because he's black, and then they take a DNA test, and boom, he's Frank's. It's just he happens to be Frank's or whatever, and that is the joke.
Yeah.
Is that despite his color, he is still Frank Gallagher's son.
And that's the only joke they tell with him for like 5 seasons.
Until he actually starts talking and they get a new actor.
Then it becomes like, no, but let's actually comment on this stuff seriously. Let's give our take on it. It's like, yeah, I need your take, Shameless. See the way you fuck have these new writers seen the previous episodes?
It completely loses itself at that point.
Yeah, like with our next Gallagher, Carl.
Carl, yeah. So Carl, what did you think of Carl?
I don't care about Carl in the first like 5 seasons of Shameless. Carl is just like little Bart Simpson. He's just like
he's like a menace.
He's like old Dennis the Menace. He just
lights shit on fire.
He lights shit on fire. He's bald. Like he's got a shaved head. He's constantly like covered in bruises and cuts. He's jumping off the fucking like hamper.
Yeah,
like down the stairs.
chute.
Like
He's just chaotic.
And I never liked him. I don't like that kind of character.
No, I didn't like him either.
I'm like, whatever, Carl. And then, but at some point, you're like, oh, Carl. I like Carl.
Well, it gets to a point where Carl starts, he wants to try and make money. So he starts working with these like kids who sell drugs on the street.
Who are all black.
Yes.
Yeah, the progressive show Shameless, who wants to comment on that stuff. Yeah, all the drug dealers are black.
Yeah, and he starts getting into that crowd. And he starts selling drugs for them. And he's learning how to sell drugs. And then it gets to a certain point where he has to sell a shit ton of heroin. And their new older sister gets introduced, named Sammy, who has
and Chucky.
who has a fat son named Chucky.
Who I was watching through South Park.
Put a picture of Chucky on the screen.
I was watching through South Park season 18 last night for my video, and at one point they have like all the kids in real life for like a segment, and it's fucking. I call Veronica and I'm like, Veronica, is this fucking Chucky as Cartman?
Look at his face. I'm like, that is Chucky.
put Cartman Chucky on screen too.
Okay, so they introduce Chucky, right? Carl scams Chucky into like he tapes all this heroin onto his body and sends him onto a train to do the drug deal for them, and he gets caught. So him and Chucky both go to jail, and it's this thing where Chucky gets recruited into the anti-Semitic Nazi group at the jail, and Carl goes in with the black guys at the jail.
Yeah.
And it's like this whole face-off where it's him against like the Nazis.
But nothing comes from that because Carl just gets out.
Yeah, Carl's gone for half of a season.
Yeah.
He's in jail, and he comes out of jail, and he had been doing a ton of work and still selling drugs, and now he's like a high baller.
And he's got like a little sidekick.
He's got like a big...
He's got like Sonny, you know? Like,
yeah, he's a huge guy who's like his bodyguard.
Yeah.
But his friend also.
Yeah, and I like that stuff. That's when
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I like Carl. He comes in, he starts going like, yeah, sure, here's like money for everyone. He starts giving Fiona more money for like
But
rent,
Fiona
stuff
won't
like that.
take it because it's drug money.
Yeah, but he has to come in the end. He saves the house whenever they have to like find a bunch of money to. He
uses
comes
his
and
drug
buys
money.
it. Yeah,
He uses his drug money that he buried to buy the house.
which is something they never acknowledge later on when we get to the fucking finale.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Which is, well, it doesn't matter because the house is in Fiona's name.
Yeah, but he paid for it, so he has some.
He
say.
paid for it, but he was underage. And
Yeah.
it was illegal money.
But,
so he has no say, technically.
So at this point, you're like, oh, Carl's like a little. He's like a little street
He's a little
rebel.
punk.
Yeah. And
But then he's trying to get with the girl Dom.
Yes. So because she wants to impress her father, he starts getting into police work because he's a police officer, and he starts realizing that he likes being a police officer.
Well, no, you're skipping over a really big
What am I
thing.
skipping over?
God, newbies. So, Carl's friend, who he's with, his friend explains the reason why he went to jail was because he killed his father. And he killed his father over a bike, right? His childhood bike, okay? So he gets a new bike, right? And Carl and him ride around on this bike or whatever, but then his bike gets stolen one day. And he finds a little kid riding his same bike, and he runs over and beats the hell out of the kid with a hammer until he fucking dies. And he gets arrested, and he goes, and Carl's like, fuck this, I'm not doing the crime shit anymore, I'm done. I want to walk the straight and narrow. So he starts walking the straight and narrow, and that's when he gets really into Dom. That's when he starts getting really into the police work.
No.
Why are you shaking your head?
He wants Dom from the second he comes back from juvie. or
No, but
wherever
Dom
he
is
was.
into him because
But
he's not being fake.
That's what I was gonna say. He only starts like getting with her because he stops being a little rebel. But then it's a thing where his father her father doesn't approve of Carl because she sees him as like.
No, because he was pretending to act like he was black when he first met him.
Yeah, he's trying to be like a rebel, like cool. So then he starts getting into police work to like impress the dad, but then he starts to realize that he likes it. And then there's a bunch of other shit with Dom, who's like fucking like a bunch of guys.
She
on
has
the
like
side.
chlamydia.
Yeah,
she
that's right.
makes him get a circumcision.
That's right.
Because she won't suck his dick if he has like foreskin, so he gets a circumcision.
Yeah,
he uses
but
the rest of his like.
all that's like
meth
episodic
money.
stuff though. Like
Yeah.
the overarching thing is that he starts to become like a good little Carl, you know.
Yeah, he starts becoming a good Samaritan, and he goes on track of wanting to go to military school.
Yeah. So then they build up how much he wants to go to military school, and he meets this new girl called Kelly. And Kelly is like already in military school.
Kelly's father is like a veteran, and she is also going to be going to military school as well.
Yeah, so she starts training Carl about like how to get into military school because his grades aren't good enough. So she starts like helping him try to get in there, and then they start to like fall in love, and then they fuck each other a bunch.
But because she's going to a different military school than him, their times are different. So she is like away for months on end.
Yeah.
While he is like also in his military school.
Yeah, that's the thing. We cut to like. See, this is the
It's
thing.
so annoying.
It's like
Yeah.
Carl's about to go to military school, and then next season comes and it premieres, and it's like, so he's finishing military school now. They skip over everything.
They force him out of military school because here's the kicker. He's in the brig. He gets locked up in isolation the whole time he's in military school because he was standing up for a trans male to female.
Yeah.
Who was in the military school.
Is it male? I thought it was female to male.
Was it female? No, it was male to female.
Okay.
Yeah, it was male to female. And
Okay.
he stands up for them or whatever, and he ends up getting isolation for standing up for them.
Yeah.
Because their political commentary is about people who are trans in the military.
But then they follow it up by Carl going like, wait, they were trans? I wouldn't have stood up for them if I knew that. What the fuck?
So it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Doesn't go anywhere. And at that point, he meets up with Kelly, and he realizes this is the political commentary on the military system. This is, systematic military, shit like that, where he's saying how younger underprivileged people get recruited to go into the military but are put at the front lines to die because they're not smart enough and they're not worthy enough to be like alive, essentially, is what he's saying.
We don't see Carl learn this. We skip to the end of military school.
Yeah.
So it's like every episode, it's really apparent when you're watching it that like at certain points you can tell characters' motivations just kind of switch like between
shift.
episodes, so they can like push towards getting to a certain plot point. Yeah.
And so this is when all of a sudden, a season later, Carl's like, no, fuck the military, fuck this. I'm just gonna get a job at this like Carl's Jr. and I fucking hate my life.
So we're back to square one with Carl.
Yes.
You know?
He just gives up on everything for no reason.
And at that point they're like, well, he's not in military school anymore, so what the fuck do we do with Kelly? So at that point, they already have the idea in their head of like, we need to get rid of Kelly, you know?
Yes, because they're like, well, Kelly is not a good motivation for this character anymore, considering that we just made him abandon everything that he liked about her.
Yeah.
So as Carl is working at this Carl's Jr., there's this Latina girl who's also working there, and she's having like this side hustle by selling like vapes at the store to underage kids.
Yeah.
Carl wants in on it. And as he's slowly getting closer to this woman, he's obviously still in a relationship with Kelly, but he's checking out this Latina bitch and like looking at her beautiful ass and
I
her
will
beautiful
say,
hair.
they fucking have no chemistry whatsoever. They barely talk. They're just like in a business relationship together, like for like one episode of selling vapes together.
But she got big titties and a big ass.
Yeah, but
and
they
she's
never
sassy.
talk. Yeah, they never like have a conversation together. But suddenly he's in love with her and is willing to like fuck off Kelly.
Yeah, to cheat on Kelly to be with her.
But then it's okay because Kelly comes back and they reveal in like an episode.
She had chlamydia because she was fucking someone else.
Yeah, so basically it's just like, okay, we need to get rid of Kelly. So Carl's cheating on her and she's cheating on him. So there we go.
So
Everything
both in the
evens out.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
The only reason why they introduced this girl, not only to get rid of Kelly, but is to also make a political commentary on ICE again.
Yeah.
Because her family are all Mexican, or they're either Mexican or they're Puerto Rican.
I think.
They make tamales, so
yeah.
whatever.
I don't know.
They do what my family does for Christmas. They make tamales for a living, right? And they sell it on the side of the street. And pretty much they have to hide because ICE is trying to get them to deport all their family. So they all live at the Gallagher's house.
Yeah, for like 2 episodes. And this is when Kelly comes back and all that stuff happens. And literally, it has that shit where it's the same thing where characters will just change how they act because they want to push them somewhere else. So at this point, when Kelly comes back, Carl does not give a fucking shit about her. He barely even says hi.
He doesn't even want to look at her.
Yeah, he's so focused on like this new girl, the Mexican girl.
I forget her name.
I don't remember either. So
because she's only in 4 episodes.
Yeah, so he does not want anything to do with Kelly. She's like, oh hey Carl, but even then you're like, why do you care so much? You just cheated on him. You know, you don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
So
she's acting all jealous and weird.
Yeah, so she's acting jealous, and Carl doesn't give a shit, even though he fucking loved her with all his heart, like a couple episodes.
To the point where he was like depressed.
Yeah, that she was gone.
Yeah.
And this is all just for the purpose of getting rid of her. And then, so she's gotten rid of, and Carl's like, well, no, we can be together. And she's like, actually, we're going back to Mexico.
No, she says we got a new apartment.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's literally it. She's like, we got our own place now, so we don't need to stay here.
I forgot they finished the ICE thing, yeah.
Yeah, they finished the whole ICE thing. They get a new apartment, and they just fuck off, and she's never in the series again.
Yeah. And then in the future, like 1 season later, they bring back Kelly for 1 episode to be like, oh, maybe they're getting along again. But then they just forget about that until the end of the show. They don't bring that back ever.
Nope. They never touch on it again. And then it gets to a point where Carl...
Yeah, that's because Carl joins the police force.
Well, no, Carl witnesses a murder happen. He witnesses this old woman. He's sitting at a bus stop, and he's with this old woman. And she's really, really sweet. And as he gets on the bus, as the bus drives, he notices these 2 thugs kind of like beating on this woman, and then he hears a gunshot. And she dies.
And it's so over-exaggerated. Like, he's like, stop the bus, let me help her. And he's like, no one get off the bus.
Yeah, they don't stop. They just don't listen to him. It's just him screaming to nothing.
He's like, she's dying. And everyone's like, oh, sit down.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
You know? And then my thought is, you've done worse, Carl. Like, you've gotten shot at. Like, how hard is it for you to pry open those plastic doors and jump out of the bus and run to help her?
Buses have, like, emergency stops as well. Little handles you pull.
Yeah, so, no, it goes nowhere. But this is when he decides that it is too unsafe. We need to talk. We need to get on the news, and we need to talk to our our mayor,
Yeah.
our city council, to fix the streetlights because it's too dark and it's unsafe.
And that's when they bring Kelly back.
That's when they bring Kelly back to help.
She helps, yeah. And then
Yeah.
all that's done, he's like, wow, I actually feel really good.
I feel good about doing something for my community.
I like doing stuff that's
even though
good.
even though he was shadowing Dom's dad during the police, he wanted to be a police officer to begin with,
Yeah,
and
they
then
literally
he goes into military
They
school.
reset him just to make him go through the CM arc
Yes.
again of realizing that he likes doing
It's so
good.
pointless.
So now
Ugh.
he's a police officer, and for the rest of the series, you're just watching him do police stuff with a new mentor every episode.
Who's like this white willy man
There's a white man. There's a black lady who gets shot.
who is a corrupt cop.
And then they go back to the white man.
But all of it is, again, political commentary
All of
on
it's
how
just to be-
cops are corrupt.
Yeah, it's all like.
It's so
every joke they tell the
telling.
cops is like, Carl's like, why are we doing this bad thing? And they're like, we're police officers.
And my thought is, why the fuck do you care, Carl? You are from Southside. You have done worse shit.
Yeah.
Like, I just, like, you know what I mean? Ugh. And it gets to the point where Carl gets so fed up with all of this injustice that he decides to speak out about it. He's tired of this.
That's the thing. Yeah, every cop episode with him is he fucks up the mission because he wants to do something good, and the cops just want to be corrupt. So it's like he's constantly going lower and lower on the police ranks, like because there's
He gets demoted.
yeah, because and the final straw is that they're kicking a family out of a house for not paying rent in the South Side, and he's like, "Come on, stop yelling at him, and I'm gonna force them out of the house." And it's like they haven't paid rent.
It's like, yeah, they haven't paid rent in like fucking 6 months. Why the fuck would they still continue to live there?
Yeah, and then the guy
The rich homeowner.
the rich
or, like,
homeowner
property
who
manager.
comes in a suit and like it drives up in his fancy like Lamborghini or some shit like that, like gets out of his car, and Carl's like, you can't park there. So he grabs him and starts bashing him against like the car. And,
Yeah,
like,
he
holds
starts
him.
doing police brutality on this man because he couldn't park there
Yeah.
and gets in trouble.
But he doesn't care. He's like, I'm not gonna apologize for doing the right thing.
And it's like, what do you mean the right thing? He was
Yeah,
parked in the red.
That
like,
didn't help that family at all. you know?
No.
So he's forced to apologize to the guy, and then he becomes a parking mead.
Well, he's forced to apologize, but then he refuses to because he's like, fuck you, don't care.
Yeah,
So
then-
they demote him to like, a parking
Yeah, then
permit guy.
he yells at the guy like, "I'm not gonna apologize to you, white man." And then the black cop comes in, and she's like, "I respect that. I wouldn't
it's
have
like-
said anything to him either." And it's like, okay.
It's like, shut up. No, you wouldn't have. You're like, you fucking bitch. Like, you were the worst of them all.
Yeah, she was like at any point in the show previously, she was like the corrupt cop, like for Carl.
See, like, the problem was the white cop, the milk toast guy, because he's just fucking lukewarm. It's the best way to describe him. His problem is he doesn't like to do his job. So he just like drives around like, blah, 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 you know,
Yeah, there's
not
like
doing his
there's like
job.
shootings and people like abusing the law, and he's like, we'll go to my mother's house and have some lunch.
Yeah, he does nothing, right? And the problem with the black woman is that she purposefully antagonizes and frames people, like, in order to get them in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
You know, like there's this woman who's like, obviously, like, she's like a streetwalker, but she's like, you know, wearing a wig, minding her own business, and she's selling cigarettes. And so the mentor cop with Carl, she comes over and starts harassing her and like ripping off her wig and making her strip and like ripping up all her cigarettes and like just like beating on her, just like completely like humiliating her for no reason. To which Carl comes back, gives her new cigarettes, and gives her her wig back.
And I was like, go over there. We don't check there.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, go to this spot. We're not gonna be over here.
So that is like every Carl episode from this point. It's like a cop doing something corrupt, and he comes in to save the day at the last minute. You know?
Yeah.
So, but he keeps getting fucking demoted, and so by the end of the series, he's just a parking like meter maid, and he meets this girl who
works at like a furniture shop.
yeah, and she fucks him, and then
But she fucks him, and
he's like, let me get a condom, let me get a
and
condom.
he doesn't want to finish in her, but she makes him finish in her without his consent.
Yeah.
So he is sexually harassed.
So they have that scene where everyone sits down and they're like, this is what happened. They're like, did you say you wanted a condom? No, and he's like, yeah. And then they're all like, Carl,
You were raped.
You were raped.
So it's a thing where Carl gets raped.
Yeah.
Ian sits Carl down and he's like, you've been raped.
By the end of the show, they get very fucked up with like balancing the comedy and like what's treated for comedy and what's treated for like severity. Because they've had
Yeah.
rape be like seen as a joke previously in the series.
Yeah, they have a thing where like Frank statutory rapes Karen, but Karen statutory rapes herself with Frank.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, It's not really a serious thing.
No, it makes her dad kill himself in a fucking ice block.
Fucking drowns himself with a cinder block.
He
tied to
jumps
his
in a little
yeah.
he jumps in like a little igloo.
No, it's like
He's standing inside. He drives all the way.
it's ice fishing, bro.
He goes inside a little igloo and jumps in the water and dies.
Little Pablo the penguin swims by him.
Pablo the penguin from Backyardigans.
No.
What?
Pablo the penguin from the Three Caballeros.
Oh, I don't know. I thought you were thinking of that kid is called Pablo though.
Pablo.
I thought you were confusing Pingu.
That's not from Backyardigans.
I know, but that's the setting he's in.
Pablo. I thought you were talking about Pablo.
I had a plush of Pablo as a kid. I remember I saw it in like a little hobby shop in one of the times we went to in Ireland, and they had the little moose guy as well, and I was like, I want both of them. I really want both of them. My mom was like, no, you can have one and come back for this one later.
You got Pablo?
We never went back for it, yeah. Okay, so
what's the end for Carl's arc?
Carl is now a parking meter maid, and he likes to fuck over rich people by giving them tickets.
That's his whole thing.
That's his culmination of the entire series. That's what it leads to. He just sits in his old
says,
parking
"Fuck the
meter
rich."
thing, and he says, "Haha, I give him too much of a ticket."
Yep.
That's his big.
That's his big.
Yeah.
That's it.
And they
That's his
imply
end.
something in the last episode, but again, we will get to that. Stick around.
They do imply something in the last episode, but yeah.
Yeah, stick around.
So next is Debbie.
Debbie.
Debbie is
the
the worst fucking
I like her.
character.
I hate Debbie with all my heart.
I fuck Debbie.
Put a
dude.
photo of Debbie on screen when at the start of the show, and put a photo of Debbie on screen at the end of the show, and you can see just from looking at those two photos how much of a fucking bitch she turns into.
She is the biggest, fucking selfish, stupidest, dumbest, fucking bitch-ass motherfucking character in the whole show.
And here's the thing. She does not make many mistakes that are that much worse off than Fiona, but whenever Fiona spent an episode doing something bad, they would spend the next fucking 2 episodes fucking rubbing her face in it. Yeah, they would.
Lip would fucking go off on her.
And Lip is so preoccupied with his own little arc that we'll get into that he does not. No one tells off
Nobody
Debbie.
does anything to against Debbie. Debbie gets away with fucking every bullshit thing she does.
Yeah. So for the first while of the show, Debbie's just the little girl.
Yeah, Debbie. See, for the beginning of the show, Debbie is like a little mini Fiona. Like, she helps Fiona with the daycare. She helps Fiona with getting people school lunches. Like, she is on top of her shit. She is there to look out for Fiona when it comes to Steve and Steve lying about who he is. Like, she is the little angel who's trying to help.
Yeah, and you're like, Debbie's not my favorite Gallagher, but I like
in the beginning,
I like Debbie.
she's more likable than Carl. She's more likable than Liam, and she's more likable than Frank. So she is easily top 5 good character.
Yeah.
But as she progresses, she gets shittier and shittier and shittier because she decides to make certain life choices throughout the series that completely make her a douchebag.
Yeah, so when she's around 13 or 14 in the show, she meets this guy that she likes.
Maddie.
Maddie.
She meets this guy named Maddie.
I'm Maddie. I'm in heaven now.
Oh, I'm in heaven. Sorry, I died. Can we put on the Nathan For You dog real quick? But Maddie is played by my friend James Allen McCoon. So shout out to you, James. But dude,
he's overage.
He's 20.
Yeah.
And Debbie is 13. And Debbie really, really wants a boyfriend really badly. Debbie's whole arc throughout the entire series is she wants to be loved.
And
that's
seen
it.
as older.
And she wants to be seen as a mature young woman, and she wants to be loved. That's really all she wants, if you really think about it.
Yes.
So she wants this relationship with this 20-year-old guy, but he is the character is fucking creepy because he's hanging out with this 13-year-old girl, but he doesn't want to fuck her, but he wants to keep hanging out with her and talking with her and cuddling with her.
Even
and stuff.
after she's made it clear she wants to fuck.
Yes.
And he's like, no, we can just
hang out, watch a
and
movie.
stuff, but yeah, no. So she meets another guy. She throws a big Gallagher party with all these people around her age. And that's where she meets another guy who's been helping her with... no, never mind.
No. She throws this big party because she wants to act like she's an adult.
No, you're right. I'm confusing the two.
And Frank makes his Frank juice of the gods at the time.
This is whenever it's getting silly.
No, this was like...
This is whenever it's starting to get silly. Frank having a
yeah.
big fucking beer contraption in Sheila's fucking basement to make
yeah,
the perfect
we have to go
alcohol.
into Sheila and Karen too. But
We can touch on them. Yeah, we don't need to
That is like a side footnote for
That-
Lip. That's more connected to Lip.
Yeah, and
So
Kevin V.
yeah, and Kevin V. But so essentially, she steals Frank's like milk of the gods, and she throws this big ass party where she wants Maddie to come, and he comes, and she wants to fuck. She wants him to fuck her that night. So she gets him super fucking drunk, and she statutory rapes herself
While
with
he's
him.
sleeping.
Yeah, while he's unconscious. She fucks him while he's unconscious.
And somehow everybody finds out about this.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Debbie's like walking in the streets, and other girls stop her like, "We heard you're a raper."
Which is really weird because it doesn't make any sense. Like, why? Who would he tell and who should you tell?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so she gets beat up, and then this guy steps in. He's like, "Back off the lady."
Yeah.
And then
He's like, stand down,
Stand back,
ladies.
idiots.
Hold my fedora.
So
His name
Debbie's
is
like-
Derek.
and he does karate.
No, he does like
Judo.
kickboxing.
Yeah, so Debbie's like, "I want to do that too."
So Debbie starts doing kickboxing with Derek, and they start like, it's like the first relationship where she actually is like, some guy likes her and she likes him back, and it's genuine.
Yeah.
Like, it's a genuine relationship, and you're kind of happy for Debbie. You're like, oh, this is what Debbie deserves, all she wants is to be loved, and as they like progress their relationship, they start fucking, but Debbie doesn't fuck him with a condom, or she doesn't take her birth control.
Yeah.
That's what it is. She doesn't take her birth control, and she gets pregnant, and she wants to keep it.
And again, she's like 15 at this point.
Yeah, she's 15, and she wants to keep it because she wants him to stay with her.
Yeah. And Fiona's like, "I am not taking care of another fucking kid."
Yeah, Fiona's like, fuck no, you're getting an abortion. I'm not going to have to raise another fucking kid in this house.
And this is for like episodes. This conflict's going on, and Fiona's finally like, "Fuck it,"
Well, Fiona also finds out that she's pregnant at
That's
the time.
true, yeah, but she gets an abortion.
Yeah, she gets an abortion.
But Fiona's like, "Look, if you have this kid, I'm not doing anything for it,"
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going to support you. She's like, if you have this kid, you are not allowed to live here.
Yeah, and then
She's like, find your own house.
and then she doesn't kick her out, but she does like force her to do.
She forces her to get a job.
She has a kid. She has her kid, and Debbie's constantly like now complaining, running around the Gallagher house, like, "No one's helping me. No one's helping me." And it's like, yeah, that's what you were fucking told would happen.
Yeah, everybody told you they weren't going to help you with this kid. Why the fuck would you expect that to happen?
And
Also,
Debbie calls the father, number blocked.
yeah, Derek leaves her.
He literally goes to a different state.
He moves to Florida with his dad and wants to go into the Air Force.
And Debbie's like, "I didn't know he wanted to be a pilot." And she's
And
like, "Yeah, you didn't fucking ask him."
Yeah, the sister of Derek, they're pretty much just like, fuck you. You entrapped him and forced him to have a kid he did not want. And like, you knew nothing about him or his goals or what he wanted for himself. You only thought about yourself, which is true. Like, Debbie gets put in her place where she's like, holy fuck, I'm alone. He doesn't want me. I have this kid and I have to do this all by myself.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel Debbie acts like so much of a bitch that you don't really feel bad for her, but in a way you do, because you're just like, you fucked yourself,
But literally, like one of the seasons, I think it's the season that Carl goes to military school or something. One of the seasons opens with Debbie like going to a firehouse and leaving the baby there,
No, that's not when he's in military school, but yeah, there is a point where she's considering getting rid of her kid. She's considering
that's like one of their
leaving the kid.
season openers, because a year passes in real time between each season. So I assume that every opener for their season is kind of meant to be like, this is
It's
what all
like
the
a couple
characters.
months, usually a couple months.
But I think it's meant to be like, this is what all the characters are up to. So what I take from that is like, oh, she's been trying to get rid of the baby like this whole time.
Well, she's conflicted because she doesn't know what she wants to do. She doesn't know if she wants to get rid of the baby or keep the baby because it's such a struggle.
And then it almost gets hit by a car.
Yeah, the fucking fire department almost runs it over.
Also, like a couple episodes after having the baby, drops on its head.
Yeah, literally falls asleep, drops the baby. Kick the baby.
Nothing ever comes from that.
Yeah, nothing happens with. It's really weird because there are points where like, there's a point where Debbie ends up like getting a job. She goes to welding school. She gets her degree or whatever to be like a vocational welder, right? So she could work and get a living. And it's weird because she has no one to really take care of her kid. You don't really see where her kid is at, and she's always just working.
Yeah.
So she's like in and out sparsely. And there's like there's a point. Now this is where it gets fucking weird. And this is where they completely change Debbie's character.
Yes.
As Debbie is becoming a welder, she decides she wants to experiment with her sexuality.
Yes.
So she starts dating this other woman, and she realizes that she likes dick too much and that she is not a lesbian and this isn't the life for her, and she essentially leads on this woman to believe that this is what she wanted when she didn't.
This woman who only ever made it clear, like, I don't want to be led on.
Yeah,
And
who
she
always
leads her
said
on.
that. She always said, I don't want to be led on. If you don't know what you want, like, you need to figure it out because I want, like, a relationship.
Yeah. And so Debbie's like, okay, I can't have this. I'm not gay. I realize it now. And then she starts dating another guy again.
She starts dating
The guy in the wheelchair.
Oh yeah.
But she only dates him so that she can
No,
live.
that's after. That's
yeah.
before. That's before.
Well, she dates this guy in a wheelchair so she can stand his highs.
Yeah, she
for
essentially
free.
uses this guy named Neil because he got into a really bad car accident when he was younger, and now he's like paralyzed from the waist down, and it has this thing where he doesn't have a filter when he talks, you know. He's got like some brain damage. So Debbie just uses him for his disability and a place to stay.
And then he kicks her out.
Yeah, he kicks her out.
Even he's too good for Debbie.
Everyone's too good for Debbie.
Yeah, and also she only goes to welding school as like a plot point so the writers can be like, well, now we can have an episode about
Unions.
inequality in like
Women's
gender.
pay.
Yeah, like women's pay, and we can have an episode about unions. But it's all shit where they bring it up for an episode and then ditch it afterwards. You
Yeah,
know?
they
It's
don't
all
follow
just the hot
through.
topic of the episode. But
They make Debbie's character the point of feminism.
yes, even though Debbie has been the exact like
Opposite.
Of a feminist, you
Yeah,
know?
she's
Yeah.
been like a self-seeking bitch.
yeah. So let's jump forward. She's Fiona's around left at this point.
Yeah.
And Fiona leaves. Debbie's basically like the new Fiona in the show. The way they want you to see it, you know? They want you to be like, okay, Debbie's gonna take the mantle now of being this caretaker for the family.
Well, as Fiona was going through her alcoholism, that's when Debbie steps up again and she starts being the Fiona.
She's
She starts
making
handling
breakfast. She's
and
like handling the bills.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, that makes sense. That Debbie would be the new Fiona. So Fiona leaves her 50 grand. And again, there's 5 Gallaghers. It's safe to assume that's meant to be like split up between them all.
And
like,
none for Frank.
and none for Frank. So we start the next season by showing that in how much time has passed between where she gets the 50 grand and that episode, she spent it all on clothes.
She buys Louis Vuitton, she buys Gucci, she buys Fendi, she buys all of these clothes, she buys a storage unit where it has everything she wants, but she has calendars for where the receipts are, so she can wear the clothes for however long she wants and then return them and get her money back.
And you're like, whenever I saw this, I was like, you fucking bitch. You fucking
Yes,
like, right.
because in the very first season, Fiona wants to start doing club promoting, and she uses the property tax money that they need, like $1,000. She uses that instead of paying the property tax to promote a night to try and make something of herself, and gets completely shit on by Lip.
Yeah.
Completely fucking shit on, and that gets held against her. And this was only $1,000, mind you. This is $50,000 that Debbie is spending.
Which, as soon as we're gonna get to the finale, you know that they really fucking need that.
Yes.
You know? So Debbie's completely spent it all, and you're like, I cannot wait for the fucking moment this blows up in her face. Which it kind of does. At this point in the series, Frank is palling around with this guy.
The hobo loco guy who's
Yeah.
his like best buddy, who might I add, he only shows affection for this man the most throughout the entire series with every other character. He loves this man like to death, and it does not make sense why they're best friends.
Yeah,
they
'cause they're
just
both
are.
homeless and scam artists.
Yes, they just
So-
are.
They
He finds out, hobo loco friend finds out that Debbie had spent all this money, and
So
is mad
he-
that Frank isn't standing up for himself.
because Frank is like, he's basically a bitch at this point in the series.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into that. But Frank also sees this stuff too, and he's like, whoa, I can't believe it. I don't want to do anything. This is, I'm so proud of Debbie
He's like,
for
I'm
doing
so
this.
proud. Gallagher's,
Following in
scam.
my
The
footsteps.
biggest scam of it all.
And
you
it's
know?
like, you would not do this in season 1.
No.
But, so, he's like, you need to give everyone their fair share of this money. Like, or else I'm ripping up all your receipts.
So you can't return anything and
So,
you're fucked.
so Debbie gives all the Gallaghers a debit card with 10 grand each on it. And so the next episode starts with them all using their debit cards, and none of them are working.
All of them are declined.
Because she hasn't put money in it, or something
Yeah,
like that.
she lied. She gave him empty cards.
Yeah, and so Lip calls her, and it goes to voicemail, and he's like,
He's
you
trying
need
to buy diapers, mind you.
Yeah, and for his kid, and he's like, you need to fucking put money in this card, you bitch. And that's the last we hear of that situation.
Yes. No, that's the last we hear of any of the money at all.
No one even asks about it.
Nobody asks about it. Nobody gives her shit about it. Also, mind you, Frank and the Hobo Loco guy steal all the clothes anyways, and they sell them to Kevin
like $300.
for $300. They only get $300 off of these clothes because the fucking Hobo Loco guy is dying and needs dialysis.
And that is half of Fiona's fucking like legacy of the show. You know?
Yes.
That's what she leaves to the Gallagher.
And they do nothing with it.
You could have filled that entire next season with like money troubles of them like fighting over the money. But no,
It's
Debbie spends
fucked.
it all. Then no one cares. That's it. It's like,
Nobody
okay,
gives
well,
her shit.
Yeah.
Nobody gives her shit. Nobody talks about it. She gets away with it, and she's like,
Gallagher's.
And as we're gonna see by the end of the show, it's clear they're like, yeah, Debbie's a fuck up. But nothing throughout these entire like last 5 seasons ever stopped to go like, oh, Debbie's fucking up right now.
Nobody ever makes a precedent that Debbie's fuck ups are giant.
Debbie's treated as the protagonist. You're meant to root for Debbie.
Yes, and in every circumstance where she fucks up, she gets an easy out. Every time.
Literally, after she wastes all that money, she realizes that she's a lesbian again and gets with this older lady who just starts giving her money out of nowhere. So she just starts getting money again and lets her live in her nice ass house.
She gets a sugar mama, but the lesbian mom pretty much wants Debbie to be her paid girlfriend and live in her house and do nothing and just kind of run errands for her or whatever. But this mom has a daughter, and the daughter hates the mom. And she hates the mom because the mom is like kind of a little bit of a control freak. So in order to spite the mom, the daughter seduces Debbie, and Debbie fucks the daughter, and
Multiple
they
times.
start having a thing.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where Debbie wants to break it off because she realizes she has a really fucking sweet deal with this mom. And so the daughter blackmails her into staying in like this relationship with her, and gets to the point where she ends up outing her to her mom.
Yeah. And it's like a wacky sitcom like scenario where it's like, I'm supposed to be at her prom, but I'm supposed to be on this date at the same time across
I'll be
the
at the mom's
street.
birthday dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she keeps running back and forward. It's one of those things.
It's fucking stupid. And then it turns out that the younger daughter isn't even gay. She just wanted to fuck her to get back at her mom.
Yeah. So then by the end of the series, they abandon all that, and Debbie's only real thing is that she suddenly loves the Gallagher house, and she doesn't want to leave the Gallagher house.
She doesn't want to leave, and she wants to like keep the house as long as she can.
And everyone living in there.
And she wants everyone to stay because she doesn't like change. And it's all because she does not know how to progress.
And so this argument, this her not leaving the house, she's like the main crux of like, as we're gonna see, Lip wants to sell the house.
Lip
for
wants
his
to sell the
reasons.
house so that everyone can have a chunk of their money and start their own lives.
Which he wouldn't have to
essentially.
do if Debbie gives them their own fair share.
And yeah, he wouldn't need the money if she had given him the 10 grand he needed.
But Debbie's the only one fucking sticking her feet in the mud and being like, no, I'm not leaving the house.
like you're not selling this house.
This is my house, you know, this is we're Gallaghers.
We're Gallagher's.
Which, mind you, like I said, Carl gave Fiona the money to buy the house in the auction, and it's all in Fiona's name, who they don't refer to. So even if they wanted to sell the house, they can't because Fiona's not fucking there.
Yeah. So, yeah, but they
don't go into that.
So literally it's just this argument up until the fucking second last episode of the entire show where they randomly introduce this new girl. Like it starts from her perspective.
Literally
and she's, like,
the
running from
second
the
to
cops.
last episode.
It starts with like this new girl who's running from the cops who's just like killed a guy or something like that and like stealing, or she robs
She
her-
robs a
her
convenience
house,
store.
and then her own house.
Yeah, and then she robs her own house where her mom is.
And locks her or like ties her mom
up.
And then she runs into Debbie like halfway through the
And
episode.
like pulls a knife on Debbie and forces her to pretend to like kiss her so the cops would think that they're just a random civilian couple like on the side of the road. And as soon as she kisses Debbie, Debbie's like, oh my god, I love you.
Yeah. And so now this random girl is just suddenly hanging out
This
at the
fucking
Gallagher house.
criminal.
While Frank is in the middle of fucking dying. This new girl is just standing there like as if we care about her being there. As if she warrants being in this big
She's
moment.
being a part of these final moments with Frank. Even though you don't know shit about her, she's annoying and she's rude.
And she's commenting on it too, yeah.
Yes, she's trying to be like funny, and she's like the most. Oh god, it's so annoying.
And so the final episode, the final thing of Debbie's arc is this girl's like, I want to go to Mexico.
Yeah, she's like, I want to run away. I want to run away to Mexico.
Come with
and
me.
I want you to come with
we
me.
can take your daughter too.
And Debbie's like,
Can we bring Franny? And
Yeah.
she's like,
yeah, I don't care. Go
And
ahead.
then she's like, okay.
Yeah. So Debbie decides on a whim. Oh, fuck this house. Okay, sell it. I'm gonna run away to Mexico.
With
I don't
this girl
care.
I just met a day ago.
Yes. It.
Yeah, she spent a whole fucking season. Lip gets... we'll get
gets
into
in
it, but Lip
fights.
gets seriously fucked up over because of not being able to sell the house in time, and Debbie was the only thing like holding him back, and she just fucks off.
Yes, she literally just goes,
With the
fuck
girl
you.
she just met.
Fuck you, I'm going to be gay and go to lesbian. Gay to go to I'm going
Yeah,
to run away
so
to Mexico.
that's why so that's why Debbie is the worst Gallagher.
Debbie is the worst Gallagher by far. And it doesn't make any sense. Her character motivations make no fucking sense.
Yeah. So
It's
next
so shit.
we got Ian.
The best. Oh, yeah, Ian.
Ian Gallagher.
Oh, God. Okay. Ian was one of the best characters in the beginning of the series and slowly becomes one of the worst and then goes back to being one of the best.
He goes back to being one of the best, not through anything he does, though.
No, only because of Mickey. Oh, I love
Mickey
Mickey Malkovich, dude.
Okay,
my
so
God.
Ian is a little closeted gay kid.
Yeah, Ian is in the closet and nobody knows about it, that he's gay, except Lip. And Lip finds out
in the first episode.
he finds out in the second episode. He finds out in the first episode in the British version.
Yes, that's right.
Well, and we'll talk a little bit about that afterwards. But so Lip finds out that Ian is gay and doesn't know how to confront him about this. And then he ends up walking in on him fucking his boss. They always fuck their bosses. He fucks his boss because he works at a convenience store.
Yeah.
And the plot point with this guy is that he's Muslim, he has a wife, he has 2 kids, but he's a closet homosexual himself. And him and Ian, who is underage, they both have like a secret relationship.
And the wife eventually finds out, but she's like, look, let me have another kid and do whatever the fuck you want, you know?
Yeah, she pretty much is like, I don't fucking care if you're fucking other men. Give me another child and, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, so that's Ian for the first couple episodes.
Yes.
Like, he's just kind of gay. But there's also a little rival in his class that's set up. Or, like someone of a similar age called Mickey Milkovich.
No, you're wrong.
What?
That's not how it starts.
What do you mean?
It starts with, he stands up for Mandy Milkovich, Mickey's sister,
That's right.
in class. Because the teacher is being weird and creepy towards her. So he stands up for her.
Forgot about that.
And Mandy gets the wrong idea and wants to, try and fuck Ian. And Ian's gay, so he obviously doesn't want to fuck her. And because he, stiffs her and, rejects her.
He's the first guy ever not to want to fuck me.
Yep. And she gets so mad, she decides to make up a fake story that he sexually assaulted her and gets her older brother, Mickey Milkovich, to beat the shit out of Ian. So there's, a whole couple episodes where Mickey is trying to hunt down Ian to fuck his shit up.
Yeah. And Mickey's just a scumbag.
Yeah, Mickey is literally just a South Side criminal kid.
He kills people, he robs
He goes to juvie. He's been to juvie. He doesn't kill people. Yeah, he doesn't kill people.
His brothers do.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
I forgot. Okay.
but he's a criminal.
Okay.
He beats people up to where they almost die, but and steals shit and has gone to juvie.
He's a bad person.
Yeah, he's not a good kid, right? He's just a bad influence. But
So
you go.
So I forget the moment this happens, but yeah, they keep setting up Ian and Mickey fighting a bunch. They have a big rivalry and Mickey's out for it. And I forget how this happens. But
Ian stands up against Mickey because he's like, if you're gonna beat me, then go the fuck ahead. And this is after he had pretty much had to take Mandy aside and tell Mandy, listen, the reason why I didn't want to fuck you is because I'm gay. And he Mandy's the first person he openly admits that he's gay. And him and Mandy instantly become best friends.
Yeah.
And but Mickey how does it? I think isn't it he confronts him?
It happens in the bedroom.
They start an argument. He confronts Mickey, and then it's I think it's a jump shot to them both laying in bed. And he's like,
Well, Gallagher, didn't know you could take it that bad.
No, it's not.
yes, it is.
No, it's not. They start taking each other's clothes off.
I swear it was a.
No, they're in
What?
bed.
Okay, no, all right.
You're thinking of Family Guy. That's a way a Family Guy would shoot a scene like that.
They'd shoot their shot like that.
Yeah. So they start fucking. Mickey's gay
Mickey is bisexual.
and wants to. No,
But-
is he?
Well,
No, he's not. He's
yes,
not. He's
because he
gay.
fucks that big giant fat bitch for no reason. He's like, oh, her, everyone fucks her.
I don't even remember that.
I remember that. It was right when it's when Ian wants to know if Mickey likes him,
Oh.
and then he goes and fucks that big giant fat bitch.
Okay. So yeah. So Ian and Mickey start fucking on the regular.
I guess no, he is gay. He says
Ian
it
and
multiple
Mickey
times.
start fucking
Yeah.
on the regular, and that's just what's going on.
But Mickey is not open about being gay.
Yeah, at one
all.
point Frank catches them fucking, and he wants to kill Frank because of that.
But then it turns out like nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, no one gives a shit except for Mickey's papa.
Yeah. Which Mickey's dad is like a super Nazi, racist, like just white trash. He's always in and out of jail, right? And as Mickey and Ian are continuing their relationship, they're starting to get to know each other. Mickey's dad finds out. And Mickey's dad beats the fuck out of Ian and beats the shit out of Mickey and forces Mickey to fuck this prostitute who is Svetlana. And as he's fucking Svetlana, she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
And so his dad forces Mickey to have to marry her.
So now he's trying to have this relationship with Ian while Ian's also like, you're married and have a kid.
Yeah. And Ian is really, really upset that Mickey is going through with this marriage when he doesn't love her and because Ian loves Mickey.
And so Mickey does the biggest thing in the whole show up until that point, where he goes into the bar and he tells everyone that he's gay.
He stands up for, well, essentially it's this thing where Ian's like, if you don't fucking tell people who you are and what you are, then you're never seeing me again.
So then he comes into the bar and tells everyone that he's gay.
Yeah.
And then at that point,
he gets in a big fist fight with his dad, and Ian joins in on it. And
but you're like, oh,
kiss.
Okay, good. Ian and Mickey are together
He
now.
stands up. He
But
stands up for Ian. I love Mickey and Ian, dude.
But then, literally the next episode, and you're like, oh, fuck, it never ends. The next episode, Mickey's trying to get Ian out of bed, and Ian's like, I don't want to get out of bed. I'm depressed.
And it just turns out Ian is bipolar.
Like his mother.
Like his mom, Monica. And so now they have to figure out how to handle Ian while he doesn't know how to manage himself with being bipolar.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to get help.
This is Ian's crazy arc.
Yes. This is when it starts. This is when Ian's like really, really unstable and they don't know what to do with him and they make him this radical, chaotic character.
Yeah, it culminates in Ian taking Mickey's baby and like on a road trip to
Mexico.
Yeah.
He tries to take he kidnaps their baby, Svetlana's baby, and tries to run away to Mexico with the kid.
And then he gets caught by the police because he keeps it in the car while he goes to
Yeah,
the store.
he leaves the baby in a hot car with the windows rolled up while he's trying to get diapers.
Yeah.
But all of this is because he is going through a manic episode with his bipolar.
Yeah.
So I feel like the way they touch on this is really kind of like uneducated and insensitive, but
yeah, but it's
whatever.
not bad. It's not bad, you know?
Because Mickey just loves Ian. Mickey just wants to help him as much as he can, but as soon as it gets to the point where he takes the kid, he's like, okay, we need to institutionalize him. Like, he needs to go into a treatment facility.
Which he does for a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes into a treatment facility for a little bit, but then he is resenting Mickey for whatever reason.
Yes, he starts to not like Mickey.
Mickey, he doesn't like Mickey because he feels like Mickey is treating him differently as he used to. And he feels like Mickey doesn't accept him for how he truly is.
Which is bipolar.
Which isn't who he is.
Yeah.
It's
like a mental illness.
Yeah. He is not who he is when he's... It's weird. It's really weird, but...
Yeah. So then, where does it go from there?
They break up.
Yeah,
he breaks up with him. Sammy is the older sister that Frank brings into the family because he needs a liver transplant.
It's like their stepsister.
Yeah, no, it's a half-sister.
Half-sister, that's what it is.
And Frank needs a liver transplant. He uses Sammy to try to see if she is a match for him to get the liver transplant because he's dying.
And she just sticks around.
And she just decides that, oh my God, you're my family and you're my father. And she lives in a trailer, so she decides to live in the house.
Yeah, and so they all want rid of her.
We completely skipped over a really big thing.
What?
Ian goes to military. Ian enlists in the military after Mickey gets married.
Is that a big thing?
Yes, it is, because he enlists in the military under Lip's name, and this is when his bipolar starts acting out. He steals a helicopter, and then he runs away from the cops, and that's when he starts up with Mickey again.
That's right, I forgot about that. Okay, there you go, add that in.
And that's important because Sammy gets upset that Carl sends her son Chucky to jail with the heroin, taping the heroin to him.
Yeah.
So in retaliation, she tells the authorities that Ian has been staying at the house because they're looking for him because he's wanted for stealing the helicopter in military school.
And so Mickey's like, I'm fed up with this bitch. So he basically ties Sammy up and he puts her in like a U-Haul or something like that.
She's supposed to be leaving soon.
Yeah.
And she has a storage container. So he drugs her, but they think that they kill her and they throw her in the storage container.
And that's the last we hear of Sammy.
No, she comes back and tries to shoot him.
But yeah, and then She tries to shoot him. He fights back, and the police come and arrest Mickey.
And they arrest Mickey for attempted murder.
And they arrest Sammy too.
Yeah, and
Sammy's
Sammy is never
again.
seen again in the
Or even
series.
mentioned.
Yeah.
And Chucky gets eaten by wolves.
Chucky gets eaten by a cougar in the middle of the woods.
We'll get into that.
We can get into that now, because honestly, that's the end of Chucky.
The end of Chucky.
Well, Debbie is giving birth, or she's like pregnant or whatever. That's when they introduce Sammy's mother, Queenie, who is Frank's like side bitch. And Queenie is coming to pick up Chucky because he's just like this fat kid like sleeping under the stoop. Like he has no
Yeah, he's sleeping outside the Gallagher.
Yeah, he's living inside. He's sleeping under the stairs. And the grandma's coming to pick him up and take him to this commune that she stays in, where it's like this like hippy dippy ass, like we live off the land. We grow opium, poppy leaves and shit.
After every episode of Shameless, there's like an after credit scene.
There's one where there's like a cougar and Chucky's just standing there.
It's like a POV shot of the cougar.
And he's like, help.
And then it rushes and eats him, and that's the...
We told Sonny that's the end of Chucky. That's the last time you see
Because
him.
we took like a month-long break of watching Shameless between them.
He asked what happened. He's like, yo, he died, dude. That's the last you see him.
No, you see him again in the next episode, but he's got like a bite mark on his head or something like that.
He's got like scratch marks all down his face.
Yeah.
Put a picture of Chucky with the scratch marks on his face, and then put a little picture of Jigsaw in the bottom left corner on his tricycle.
Put Chucky on a tricycle.
But yeah, put Chucky on a tricycle with Jigsaw. You know that picture of the frog and Mr. Toad
Yeah.
on the tandem bicycle? Do that.
But it's Chucky and Jigsaw.
Chucky and Jigsaw.
So, so Ian, so Mickey's
In jail,
and he's like to Ian, he's like, "Will you come and visit me?" And at this point, Ian's like,
Ian does not want to see him.
"Yeah," even though he just fucking went to prison.
He went
for
to
him.
prison for him.
And so it's just implied for the next like couple of seasons that Mickey's in prison and Ian is just not visiting him.
And during this time, Svetlana's like, I need immigration, because she's a Russian whore. They say that. I'm not just saying that to be mean. They need immigration to believe that her marriage with Mickey is legitimate. So she has to go visit him while he's in jail, but she can't come and visit him unless Ian is there. So she begs Ian to go with him to the jail to visit Mickey, and Mickey is like trying to put it like...
He's like, "Why aren't you seeing me?" You
Yeah,
know?
Mickey is like, what the fuck? Like, I'm in here because I did this for you.
I love you.
Cause oh god, dude, Mickey tries so hard. Like,
that's why I'm
Mickey.
like Mickey and Ian's relationship does not make me like Ian anymore, because Ian is consistently awful.
Yeah, he's
from this
horrible to
point
Mickey,
on.
and Mickey deserves better.
We're not even at the worst of Ian yet.
No, we really aren't.
So,
We're getting to it though.
Because Mickey's in prison now, there's like, what do we do with Ian then?
Well, Ian is like depressed. He's at the peak of his like depression. He doesn't know what the fuck to do. He doesn't feel like he's normal. He has to hold down a job because he had just gotten let go. He just got his everything against him about stealing the helicopter in the army was dropped because he had to admit he was manic because of his bipolar.
So I was thinking, yeah, he didn't want to do that.
He didn't want to accept that he was bipolar and that in a way he cannot control himself and that he is like his mother Monica, who is also bipolar. So it's this thing where he's working at Patsy's Pies with Fiona. He's butting heads with Fiona. He doesn't get along. He doesn't feel fulfilled. He feels like he's just like Monica. He feels like he's a fuck up. He's not happy. And he's walking on a bridge and he witnesses this huge car accident. And he pulls this man out of the car, and all these EMT firefighters come and they start helping him and they resuscitate the person. And that's when Ian's like, oh my God, I want to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
He decides he wants to be an EMT and he wants to try and be a firefighter. And he starts dating this guy named Caleb, who is a firefighter. And it's weird because Caleb eventually, like, Ian finds out Caleb's like fucking his like high school girlfriend.
Yeah, he's not like.
But he says he's gay. He says he's gay and that he's not bisexual, but he fucks his high school girlfriend because old times. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And so Ian dumps him, but Ian is like an EMT.
He's in a better place.
He's in a way better place, and he's done this without Mickey. Mickey's still rotting in jail, and he's like doing better for himself.
But something bad happens where he witnesses someone coming into his ambulance who is in a similar state that he was in. He can see himself in
They're
them.
like crazy. They're going through like a fucking manic episode, and he sympathizes so much for this woman.
Yeah, they're being tied down, and she's like, "Don't tie me down, please. Don't tie me
She's
down."
like, "Please just loosen those
And
strings,
Ian's
please."
like, "Loosen them. Don't tie her down." And he's like, "Don't worry, we're gonna get you out of this."
And the boss is like, "Don't do it." She's like racing in the car. She's like, "Don't fucking do it. Don't unlatch her." And he unlatches her anyways. And then obviously, what does a crazy person do? They fucking run out of the back of the ambulance while it's like fucking moving, and they get hit by a car.
So like, Ian, you're fired.
No, they say, "Ian,
You're
don't
let
come
go for a while.
Yeah, like don't come back. Don't
Yeah.
come back for a bit. Until your meds are like ready.
So now they're like, what do we do with Ian? So then Ian starts meeting new people.
He starts trying to help like homeless people.
Yeah.
And as he's trying to help homeless people, he meets this guy named Trevor.
Yeah.
And Trevor is trans, female to male.
And this
But he's a
initially
male.
makes Ian uncomfortable.
This makes Ian uncomfortable because he's like, "Well, you're not gay. Well, you don't have a dick." And he's, and Trevor's like, "You're being fucking rude. I do have a dick. I have many. Like, don't fucking assume, And this is where Ian starts learning what being trans is, and he starts learning, like, what the appropriate terms to say are and stuff. And it's the point commentary where they talk about this kind of topic, right? And
Yeah,
they use Ian
it's
for
like
that.
it's like a situation of like trans or like gay people like being homeless, getting kicked out of their house.
Getting kicked out of their house and being forced to be converted and brainwashed and like, you know what I'm talking
So
about?
Ian goes to like one of these conversion things and he gets up and he stands up and he's like, "Stop right there."
He starts memorizing the Bible to retaliate against these preachers who are trying to do conversion, like religious conversion therapy on these gay kids.
Yeah.
So he's fighting them back with Bible verses.
And people are recording him.
And they think he is like amazing.
Jesus.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. They think he's amazing, and everyone starts backing him, and all these fucking people start following him, and
It's like there's like
start praising him.
literal crowds of people like surrounding Ian.
Yes. And it gets to the point where all of this starts going to his head.
He starts doing his own fucking like church sermons.
Yeah, he starts doing his own sermons, and he starts helping like, the LGBTQ community who are homeless, and trying to like help people who are being like kidnapped and forced into conversion shit and stuff, to the point where he blows up a car.
Yeah, this is like the culmination of his craziness. He blows up a car that belongs to Mickey Milkovich's dad.
Did it?
Yeah, remember, because he was coming to stop him or something like that.
No, it wasn't Mickey Milkovich's dad. It was one of the kids.
Oh, it was one of the kids' dads.
Who was
Sorry.
gonna get kidnapped.
Yeah, one of the kids who was gonna get kidnapped.
Be converted.
Ian blows up their van. And it's like a nighttime shot, and it's in like a parking lot where like there's no other cars. Clearly, they had like a big set built
It's this
for
big
it.
fucking shot
their
of him
big
pointing his
moneymaker
finger
shot.
in the air, and the fucking car
the
explodes
explosion
behind him.
and everyone's like, "Gay Jesus!"
Yeah,
It's
they all
gay
think
Jesus.
Ian is gay Jesus, and he starts considering himself as gay Jesus. He obviously gets arrested, and while he's in prison, he's doing the gay Jesus shit in prison.
And everyone's like, the whole joke they make, again, they try to be progressive, but also fall into the same jokes again, where it's like everyone in prison is gay.
Yeah,
And they're all in, like,
he's
relationships.
he's like managing like consent and like sexual harassment in the prison by trying to make like a peace treaty amongst like these partners.
And again, it's that thing where it doesn't really work in context of the whole series, because like if every single person in prison is gay, even the people who are like, who Ian eventually talks to about Mickey's dad, if they're all gay, why does Mickey Milkovich's dad, who has been in prison at multiple points in the series,
It's
have such
homophobic.
yeah.
It doesn't. It's yeah.
It's just for a joke.
It's just for a joke. Yeah. Or just for a plot point.
It's just to show Ian doing this in prison still, and everyone's like, "Don't leave prison," and Ian's like, "Maybe I should stay in prison. I could really help people here."
Yeah, so Fiona is desperately trying to get Ian out of prison. She wants Ian to admit that all this gay Jesus shit is a side effect to him not taking his medication because he's bipolar.
And Ian's like, "I can't do that. Then everyone will like not believe in the message anymore. No one will see like."
Everybody will denounce everything that I've done.
Yeah.
Because it was all a manic episode.
And they treat everything Ian did, like blowing up the truck and stuff, as like a good thing.
Yes, everything that he had done is considered like he was a prophet. Like he literally was like seen as gay Jesus.
Yeah, it's not like they're doing this and the show is kind of pointing out how like kind of weird it is for him to portray himself as like a god
Yeah.
among these people. But then at this point, Ian finally goes through his little emotional thing and is like, okay, I will admit that I was like crazy, you know?
He admits that he is crazy.
And all the gay people are like, no.
And everyone's mad at him.
Yeah.
And he obviously lost his job at the EMT. Like, he's not an EMT anymore. He's got no job. He's let go. Charges are dropped, and he gets to leave. And he comes home.
But something happens.
What happens, Mark?
Mickey comes in.
Dude.
And Mickey's out of prison. And he's like, Ian, I love
Mickey.
you.
No, this is what happened. Mickey escapes from prison.
Yeah.
And he shows up, and he's like, run away with me.
You got long
Let's
hair
go to
now.
Mexico. Yeah, he's got like long, scraggly hair. He looks like he kind of.
Yeah, a beard.
He's got like fingerless gloves.
Yeah.
He's like, run away with me. Let's go to Mexico. I love you. And mind you, like, Ian is still in a relationship with Trevor.
And also has not, like, seen Mickey at all while he was in prison.
No, never once visited him. And so Ian decides to go with him. He goes on a whim to go with Mickey. And they're driving, and they're fucking, and they're having their little romance. But Ian is, like, getting calls from Trevor. And he's kind of reflecting on how his life was. And he's kind of reflecting on what he's doing now. And they get to the border. And right as they get to the border, Ian's like, I can't do it. I can't. And Mickey's like, what the fuck you talking about? He's like crying with a little wig and dress on.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so
Yeah,
sad.
it's like, Ian, I love you. I love you.
Oh, it's so fucking sad. But Ian's just like, I'm not that guy anymore. I
But
can't go with you.
This would be much more emotional for me if I wasn't like, I'm confused at this point in the series if Ian actually loves Mickey.
Yeah.
Because they flip-flop too much with him.
Because it was a thing where Ian super loved Mickey and Mickey didn't love him back, and then now it's a thing where he's like, I don't love Mickey because he doesn't accept me, but Mickey's like, I love you. I've always, I will keep loving you.
Yeah.
And mind you, throughout this whole time, Mickey has made his love for Ian known over and over and over and over again. Ian is the only person he ever thinks of throughout the entirety of this series. Whereas Ian, like, treats Mickey like side shit. Like, he is like so not grateful for the love that Mickey offers him.
Yeah.
It's
That's why
infuriating.
I'm like, I like Mickey and Ian, but I don't like Ian.
Yeah, I like Mickey.
So at this point you're like, okay, Mickey's out of the show.
Yeah, Mickey goes to Mexico and Ian
Doesn't really have
doesn't
much
go
to
back.
do.
Yeah.
He tries to get his EMT job back, but he gets like demoted to like a lesser one that's kind of like scamming people.
Yeah, he gets into like a scam insurance fraud like EMT thing as probation. He goes on probation obviously for what he had done.
And then at this point, he didn't really do much for the next
At
bit.
this point, no, he goes to jail.
So what does he go to jail for?
Who? Mickey or
Ian.
Ian? Ian goes to prison for the car burning. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He goes to prison for the car burning, and while he's in prison, Mickey is his prison mate.
Yeah, he like shows up, it like pans over and Mickey walks into the room.
I love that so much. And Mickey outs the cartel to be able to pick who he could stay in jail with, and he picks Ian.
Yeah.
So they live together in jail.
And what you're like, that's a sweet moment. And then
They ruin it.
They ruin it because they skip forward in time a bit.
And they
it's
both
like,
don't get along.
Yeah, they hate each other. Hate living together.
They don't like living that close to each other.
Yeah, and then so that's when Mickey and Ian start going around to the other prison guys. It's like, how do you guys deal with your prison boyfriends? Because everyone in prison
Has
is
a prison
gay.
boyfriend, yeah.
And so they do all that stuff, and from this point on, they're just in prison for the next while. You
Yeah,
know?
they're in prison for the remainder of the series up until like season 10.
And so they get out of prison, and they're both doing their probation, and there's a little arc with a fucking probation officer, but it's not really important. But this all culminates basically.
They both have to do probation, and they have Rachel Dratch as Ian's probation officer, who is corrupt as shit. And essentially, they're doing insurance fraud, and she is like organizing all of it, and Ian is working for this like ambulance company doing the insurance fraud.
Yeah, but it's not important.
Yeah, it's not important. Well, no. What happens is their probation officer dies.
Yeah.
Because she gets pushed out of a window. And Ian thinks it's Mickey, and Mickey thinks it's Ian. And because they both think it's each other, they realize if they get married, they can't testify
That's what it is.
against each other in court.
Yes.
So they go to the courthouse.
to get married, and
Ian wants to. Or not Ian, sorry.
Mickey really wants to, and Ian's like been like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, but he finally decides he's gonna do it, you know. And Lip's kind of like, do whatever you want.
No,
you know?
no. Lip is... Don't shake your head at me, because I'm always right when I explain this. Don't roll your eyes. Okay. Lip is working on his bike, and Ian is conflicted because he doesn't...
that was a necessary detail to add. That was on his bike. That's the part that was neat, yeah.
Yeah, anyways, so Lip is working on his bike, and Ian comes up to him, and he is asking him, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should marry Ian or not, or marry Mickey or not. And Lip's literally like, honestly, this guy loves you, and if this is what you want to do, I'm all for it. But I don't have anything else to say to you. And Ian gets mad because nobody is telling him what the right decision is. Everyone keeps telling him, do what you feel. Do what you want to do. So at the very end, when it comes to them getting married at the courthouse, Ian doesn't want to marry Mickey.
Well, you're okay.
Or he hesitates.
So Veronica's skipping over this part. So they're about to sign the papers. So like literally right in front of signing it, and then they both realize to each other, oh wait, neither of us actually killed the girl, so we won't have to testify because we didn't do it. And then so it's kind of a situation where it's like, so do we still get married? And then
no, Mickey's like, well, I thought this was what you wanted.
Yeah, and Ian's like, baba booey.
And Mickey leaves because he gets upset.
Yeah, and then he punches him in the face.
Yeah.
To which you're like,
yes, Mickey finally punches Ian in the face, and he's like, fuck you. I've loved you, and I just want to marry you and love you, and you just did this for your own fucking shit. Like, you did this for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, Mickey just wants to be loved by Ian, dude. It's so, ugh.
And so there's a whole fucking breakup arc where they both go with different people. Mickey tries to make Ian jealous.
He's fucking like a
like
Ian
an incel,
wannabe.
Yeah. So he's trying to like make him jealous, but then they eventually get back together and reconcile. But even then, they've reconciled, but you're still like...
I like the reconciliation.
Yeah,
though.
but in the back of my head, I'm always like, Ian has fucked over Mickey so many times, and Mickey has done fucking nothing. Like, why does he like... I don't believe that Ian genuinely wants to be with Mickey, you know?
I think that Ian... I think it's a thing where it's like, Ian has known Mickey and loved Mickey the longest. And yeah, he treated him like shit, but sometimes as you grow and you learn, you do shit that obviously you're gonna hurt others. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I feel like that is what he wanted. I think that is who he loved.
Okay. So they get married.
They get married.
And they have a wedding.
They have a big old wedding.
And during this wedding...
Mickey's dad keeps trying to sabotage their wedding because he doesn't like that his son is getting married to another man. And
during this wedding, Kev proposes to Veronica.
And you never see anything with that.
Yeah, you do.
No, they don't get married.
Yeah.
They do, but they don't get. They don't have a. Yeah, okay.
We'll probably have to speak
We'll have
through.
a small Kevin B section, yeah.
So, but yeah, because Lip's gonna take up a good bit.
Ugh,
and then the finale. We haven't even talked about the finale. Okay.
Okay.
Guys, sit in, strap in. We got like 45 minutes to explain all this. So Ian and Mickey are married. They move out of the Gallagher house whenever Lip wants to sell the house at the end. This is while Debbie's like, I'm not moving out, and Lip and Mickey are like, we'll move out, fine, we'll find an apartment.
Ian's like, no, Ian's like, yeah, we should sell the house, and Mickey's like, yeah, you'll just do whatever Lip tells you to do.
Which is like, that's not been a character trait so far.
No,
like that has never been what they do.
They start having like this minor argument where everything is like, oh, you're only doing this because Lip says.
Yeah, as soon as they get married, they like are on cloud 9, and then as soon as they get married, it like skips forward a season, and suddenly they hate each other. They're always arguing.
It's like Ian is the only one working hard, and Mickey's not doing anything.
Even though he really wanted to be married to like Ian.
Yes, even though he really wanted to be married, and Mickey is like being like, it's like this, it's the typical thing where like he's wearing like a wife beater, he's scratching his balls and sniffing it, not doing anything, drinking beer, he's spending their wedding money like on alcohol and shit, and like, you know, he's not contributing enough, and Ian is doing everything, and he's mad, you know. So they end up starting their own business where they deliver weed.
Like weed and money.
They deliver weed and money for this this like weed dispensary company, because at this point in the series, weed is legal now. Smiles. And so as they're making good money, they decide that they're gonna move out and have their own place. So they move to the north side, which is like rich people village. And Ian is excited to be finally living in a life of like luxury, whereas Mickey is having a hard time
adjusting.
Yeah.
He keeps going back to like the Gallagher house to sleep.
Yeah, because it's like too quiet, too perfect for him.
But really, that's kind of where
That's where it ends.
Up until the finale, which we'll talk about, because the finale is really just a finale
finale
for
is
Ian and
shit.
Mickey. But we'll talk about that when we get there. But that's the end of it. They're married, and they're like have their differences, and they get in arguments every now and then. But they're living in like an apartment.
They're having
Mickey
a life
eventually
together.
like warms up to it, and you're like, okay. Up until the finale, you're like, okay, because the finale has the most.
It's
The most stereotypical, like, you forgot our anniversary. Like,
You're giving it away.
Well, I'll get into it. I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
So Lip.
Lip is the
best
best
Gallagher.
character. Put a picture of Lip. Put another picture of Lip.
Put the
Okay.
meme picture of Lip of him looking in the microwave.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
for the
that's
bear.
from the bear.
Yeah.
Okay, now put a picture of Lip with Ian when they're kids though in the car.
Lip, he's the smart one.
Lip is the one character where everybody is like, you are the one who can get out.
He's the whiz
You
kid.
are the smartest one here. He literally took people's SAT tests for them. He fucking knows everything. He knew college level shit when he was in like high school. He knew calculus, he knew physics, he knew coding. Like, he's the smartest fucking kid, right? And he's the best scam artist.
And the whole show is just watching him never fucking utilize that potential.
Never. They constantly gas up Lip to be the person who is the only one in the family who can get out of Southside, who can make something of himself, who can go to college and do something greater than themselves. And what does he do? He gets some bitch fucking pregnant and stays in the Southside and becomes a mechanic.
So, Lip really likes his neighbor, Karen.
Well, Lip gets blowjobs from his neighbor. Don't shake your head, because they weren't dating.
He likes her, is what I said. I didn't say they were dating.
He gets blowjobs from her.
Fucking hell. This whole thing is me saying something and then Veronica saying the same thing like twice as long.
Wrong. Go on.
He really likes this girl, Karen, who lives near him. And Karen's just like a slut. Karen fucks
Yeah.
everyone and anything that moves.
Karen is nasty.
Lip being one of those, and he starts to grow feelings for her. And
They start getting closer and closer.
Karen's mom is Sheila,
Agoraphobic.
who is Jessie from Toy Story, and
Yeah.
the teacher the principal
School
from
of
School of Rock. And she doesn't leave the house, and that's her like thing.
She's
And-
got agoraphobia, and she doesn't leave the house ever. And
Yeah.
she's got a dad who is overly religious and obsessed with clowns.
and we can talk more about Sheila when we get to Frank. But,
Yeah.
But so the whole first like 4 seasons of the show is really. It's really repetitious with Lip, and I don't like it very much, because it's him wanting to be with Karen rejecting him, giving him like a slight like thing to like reel him in a bit more, and then just rejecting him again.
It's just her using him.
Yeah, she
'Cause
uses
that's what
him-
she does.
Yeah,
She uses men. But
So-
she also doesn't respect herself.
and Lip never learns his lesson.
No, Lip has a constant thing where his crux is women.
Yeah,
He does not know how to handle himself with women. He either goes all in or not at all.
yeah. And we see that throughout the series. So,
Yes.
we can just skip to college.
No.
What? What happens
You are
until
skipping
college?
everything.
What
See,
hap-
this is why I interject.
What happens until
Okay,
college?
okay,
What
here we
of
go.
use? Okay, give me something of
I
use.
am.
Okay.
So, Lip's relationship with Karen. Okay, Lip wants something with Karen, and he kind of wants to be serious, but he at the same time can't take her seriously. And then he finds out that Karen is pregnant, and he believes it's his kid. And so throughout this time while Karen is pregnant, she's pretty much like, fuck you, it's not your kid, I don't give a shit about you, I'm gonna do what I want. And all Lip wants to do is to be a part of this kid's life because he is convinced it's his. And so Karen decides that she's gonna get married. She gets married to this random tattoo guy that she met in AA or NA, it was Sex Addicts Anonymous. She gets married to this guy. She's gonna have this kid with this guy, but also in the same time, she's fucking Lip and leading him on and kind of just doing whatever she wants for herself. She realizes she doesn't want to keep this kid, that she's gonna give it up for adoption. And slowly, as she's going on, Lip is noticing how evil she actually is. She's only doing things for herself. She just wants to get money for the kid. She doesn't give a fuck about what Lip has to think or what Lip has to say about the kid. And eventually, as she has the kid, Lip finds out, 1, the kid's not his. The kid is Asian. And 2, the kid has Down syndrome.
Because she did nothing but smoke and drink.
Yes,
While
because
she was pregnant.
Yes. And so the kid has the adopted parents who were going to originally adopt this kid that Karen and Lip found no longer want the child because he has Down syndrome. And Karen is so disgusted with this child, she wants nothing to do with it and doesn't want to look at it.
She like leaves the house.
She completely runs away. Well, she forces her mom, Sheila, to either pick the kid or pick her. Either get rid of the kid or keep her. And Sheila's obviously like, I'm going to keep the kid. This is my grandchild. Like, I'm not going to abandon my grandchild. So Karen leaves for a bit. And while Karen leaves, Lip starts a relationship with Mandy Milkovich. Because who is Ian's best friend.
And Mickey's sister.
And so Lip and Mandy start having this thing. But as they're having this thing, Lip does not respect Mandy. Lip does not really care about Mandy. Mandy just wants to be with him, but he kind of shoves her off to the side and doesn't give a fuck about her feelings or emotions. So much so that when it cuts back to where Karen comes back into town, and Karen feels sorry for what she had done to her mom, she starts fucking with Lip. But while she's fucking with Lip, she's fucking with Mandy too, in the sense of like telling Mandy that she's gonna steal Lip from her. Telling Mandy like, oh, well maybe I'll poke a hole in the condom next time we fuck and I'll make sure Lip stays with me. So Mandy gets so fucking pissed that this bitch is gonna ruin Lip's life. And mind you, Mandy wants Lip to have a future. Mandy is like taking out money to try and put applications for him to go to college. She wants him to go to college. She wants him to get the fuck out of Southside. And Lip's like, fuck that. I don't care. Fuck that. I don't need to go. I'm not going to finish high school. I'm not going to finish college. Just being a dickhead. While Mandy and Fiona are the only ones being like, get your fucking head out of your ass. You are smart. You could do something with your life. And lo and behold, Lip gets accepted into college. And he gets accepted into college because the college recruiter finds the opening essay that Mandy put in that was just like plagiarized and forces Lip to write his own essay, to which it was good enough and he gets in.
And Mandy is so pissed off at Karen
for wanting to sabotage his life
that she gets in her car and she runs over Karen.
She hits Karen with her car.
And Karen from this point on gets permanent brain damage and suddenly cannot remember anything past what she already... Like, she can't retain any new information, so she's just very, like...
She's literally brain dead.
Yeah.
She's like 5 years old, you know?
Yeah, and so
Lip is devastated, but then finds out that Mandy was the one who did it.
And he's kind of like, I need to get away from this crazy bitch.
Yep.
And so
they break up.
Mandy's heartbroken, Lip's going off to college, and Karen and her husband and her kid are all sent away to some like
commune
where they're going to like
do like herb and like enhancement to help her.
Yeah.
And
we never see Karen, even mention of Karen again.
Never again.
And this is like season 5.
Yeah.
So from
Lip
this
is
point,
now in college.
He's now in college. This is the Lip college arc. And this is my favorite arc with Lip.
Same.
Lip starts...
he has a hard start.
He doesn't do very well in his initial, like, stuff.
He really is cocky. He thinks he's, like, above it all, when in reality, he is, like, low tier.
Everyone kind of sees him as, like, oh, you're good for Southside, you know? But you're going to realize you're pretty, like, shit when amongst us, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
He even meets Southside people, and they're like, I'm here to get out of this place, you know? I don't need you. You know?
Yeah, I don't need to associate with people like you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not Southside anymore. I'm trying to be better.
So he has a run-in with, is it the teacher or the guidance thing?
No, so he has a roommate.
Yeah.
And his roommate has a girlfriend named Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
And they always fuck. They literally have like their beds are right next to each other, and Lip is like so annoyed. He is struggling to try and manage. Not only is he trying to manage having like school funding, you know, like having a scholarship to be able to go to school, but on top of managing all of his classes, on top of like being able to do his laundry, get to like class on time.
On top of this, Debbie is having a baby around this time.
Yeah. And so Lip is like struggling. He is struggling. He does not have structure or routine to his life. So this college life is unnatural to him. And it gets to a point where this girl, Amanda, offers to help him. And this isn't around Debbie pregnant. This is around Fiona and Liam overdosing on coke.
That's right. Yeah. Debbie's pregnant a little later in the college arc.
Yeah. And so Lip is now put in a position where Fiona is out in prison and gave Liam coke, and now he has to pick up Liam and take him to school with him.
Yeah.
And while he's taking him to school, Amanda offers to babysit for him. So he starts getting closer to Amanda as she's babysitting Liam.
And then Amanda breaks up with big chubby guy.
Yeah, put a picture of Ned from Spider-Man. That's what he looks like.
And then, so Amanda starts fucking Lip. And you're like, okay, they're not actually, like, in love with each other, but this is good for Lip, you
because
know?
she's filthy fucking rich.
Yeah.
And she's smart. So she helps him organize everything. She helps him manage and get on top of his classwork and everything to where he is on track. And not to mention, she buys him like fancy watches and iPhones and shit like that.
And then eventually his dad starts to like Lip after realizing he's like takes interest in his stuff. And he's like, Lip, this summer I'm going to give you an internship at my great tech firm, you know, something like that. So everything you're like, okay, Lip take over, you know, Lip, everything's going up for Lip.
But then he starts the new semester. He's an RA, which means he is in charge of all the dorms. He has his own place. Everything's going well. And he gets this new professor who is hot as shit. And they fuck a lot.
Yeah, every scene with Flip now starts with him fucking his teacher.
He is fucking this professor all the time, and he is so infatuated with her because she's smart, she's beautiful, she's successful, and she is the kind of woman that he wants.
Yeah, and so he starts neglecting Amanda.
Which, they were never really monogamous. They had previously stated whether or not they were going to continue to fuck other people, to which they agreed that maybe
but then make it clear around this time that Amanda has caught feelings for Lip. She genuinely likes him at this point.
Yeah.
And she's like stopped fucking other people. She's like, she thinks she's in it, but they never had that conversation.
No, they never did. She just kind of shows up whenever she wants, and he's just like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And so, as he is fucking this teacher, he has this really, really weird dynamic where the teacher has a husband who is aware that she is fucking this guy. You know, she's fucking Lip. And he likes being cucked.
Yeah, he
likes to watch.
He's like, let's get one thing straight, Lip. You're only doing this because I'm okay with it.
Yes. So it's this really weird thing where she's married and she is like letting her husband watch, and she's fucking Lip, who is her student. And now it's getting to a point where the teacher drunkenly, you know, she has this very big like fucking research like conference, and all the research that she had done pretty much is outdated, and she looks like a fool in front of her colleagues and peers, and she gets really drunk and kind of drunkenly admits to Lip that she actually might really, really like him and want to be with him, and that in a way she would want Lip to maybe low-key kill her husband.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And Lip is kind of like, oh, like,
he's like,
she loves me.
Unless.
And she's like, well, you know, Lip is like, I love you.
I love you.
I love you, mommy.
Ugh.
And so Lip starts falling for this teacher, and literally the next day as she sobers up, she realizes what a mistake that she had made and tells him that she's like, hey, listen, everything I said last night, ignore that. All those feelings, ignore that. Never happened.
Yeah.
So Lip is now conflicted because he is starting to get more and more attached to this teacher, and at the same time, Amanda is starting to get more and more attached to Lip.
Yeah. And she's jealous, and she finds out, she goes through Lip's phone and sees naked photos that Lip took of the teacher
While she was sleeping.
and so she decides she's gonna post it online everywhere, and so this teacher's reputation is ruined. She
almost loses her job.
She almost loses her job,
and Lip gets kicked out of the school.
yes, but no, because there's also that he doesn't get kicked out of the
you're
school.
right. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, so there's this other character too, this like this guy who helped Lip get into college, and he's kind of like, it's clear he kind of sees a bit of himself in Lip, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, you're kind of a fuck up, but you know you're smart, so I'll kind of take you under my wing, and he keeps giving Lip this advice and like trying to get him internships, and Lip's just fucking up. He keeps getting fucking sidetracked with this teacher bitch, and all while he like is getting broken up with by this teacher who is like, I can't like even talk to you anymore. This is when he starts drinking more.
Yeah, this is when he really, really starts becoming an alcoholic.
And he gets kicked out of his dorm, and he has to move into like a sorority with girls as
Yeah.
like their like housekeeper.
But because he's so discontent with everything and how his life is, and because the teacher no longer wants to speak to him and he is not getting any closure, he starts leaning more into his alcoholism, which causes him to also get kicked out of the sorority house after pissing all over their pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's getting to a point where
It's lip downfall.
the lip downfall, dude, and it's hard.
It is a hard downfall.
It is a bad and hard downfall. He ends up flunking out of college.
Yeah, he gets kicked out of college for being drunk and like
and like starting a fight.
He's like defaming property or something like that.
He's like breaking the
yeah,
cars.
Yeah. He's breaking the car. He breaks the car
breaks
of
his
his guidance
Ewan's-
counselor. Yeah.
Ewans.
Yeah, Ewans is the name of the teacher guy who likes Lip.
So yeah, the teacher, his name is Ewans, and he's also an alcoholic, and he is like Lip's like mentor in a way, but because he is obviously slipping and he's not doing his schoolwork and he's kind of falling behind, him and Ewans get into a very huge argument, and it's this thing where like Ewans to Lip was like a father figure, and Ewans no longer has a good relationship with his son, and Lip has no good relationship with his father. So it's this dynamic where they both kind of rely on each other in an emotional way, but at the same time, like, Ewans wants no attachment.
And Lip kind of resents the fact that he keeps getting like told what to do by this guy. you
Yes.
know? He's like, "You're not my father."
Well, it's more of a thing was like, you don't care.
Yeah, it's like, you don't care about me, you know? Like, you're giving me advice about like my drinking, but look at you.
Yeah,
know?
exactly. You're a drunk just as I am. Like,
yeah, like Lip would have to cover for him like during classes
and
where
like
he's
teach
too
his
drunk.
classes for him sometimes.
Yeah, so Lip's downfall continues. It's just mostly alcoholism. He's like fucking
Yeah.
up. He's back home.
Now he has to work at Patsy's Pies.
Yeah, Ewans keeps setting him up for like job interviews, and he keeps fucking not showing up to them because he gets too drunk. And he starts meeting this new girl at Patsy's though, who just looks like
What was her name again?
ugly Fiona.
Yeah, she is literally ugly, stupid bird Fiona. Fucking dumb, annoying bitch who can't act for shit.
Yeah, and so he meets her, and he kind of gets entangled in her life for a bit with her like
She has like a son and like a
drug
baby
addicted
daddy who's
yeah, and he tries to like overstep his boundaries and like take over and like be like, I know what to do, like I'll tell him off, and she's like, no, don't do that.
She's like, don't get involved with my shit with my baby daddy. This has nothing to do with you. Which this woman, I forget her fucking name, but this woman, her brother is Neil, the paraplegic guy who's dating Debbie.
Yeah.
This is around the time Debbie starts dating that guy. And as she's dating that guy, she is forcing that girl out of her home with her son, Lucas, to where like Lip is being put in this situation where
I think Lip even like pays for her like
Lip wants to like help her.
Yeah.
Lip, like, dude, it's him and women, dude. He wants to step up. He wants to be a dad to this kid, and he wants
gives her
to
a
be
bunch
with
of
her.
money too.
Yeah, he does.
And
Where do you get that money from again?
I forget. But he basically he fucks up with the girl. The drug addicted boyfriend comes back and's like, I want to try again. Then he fucks up, but Lip is like, okay, I won't. Like, he goes to the girl and's like, I think you should give him another chance, which is really fucked up of him. To
Yeah, it really is. Because the guy has another woman who is pregnant.
Yeah, and but Lip's like, you should give him another chance. So they move away.
No.
No, they don't move away. I thought they moved away.
What happens is the guy asks Lip, because he sees him at a meeting, and Lip tries to get that guy to relapse again.
Yes.
Because the girl, I forget her fucking name, dumb bitch ass McGee, she wants to give him another chance, but she doesn't know. And, you know, Lip tries to like send him pizza with Coke on it. And the guy goes to a meeting, the same one Lip's at, and he openly says, like, you know, that someone tried to set him up and that he didn't take it, but, you know, he doesn't know what to do because he really wants things to work with this girl, Sierra.
Yeah,
He really wants things to work with Sierra.
And then Lip sneaks into the guy's house to take back the Coke, and the guy walks in on Lip doing it, and he's like, You were trying to help me. You were trying to take the Coke out of my house.
He's
Thank
like,
you.
oh man, he's like, I knew you wanted what was best for me. I knew we didn't get along at first. And then that's when he asked Lip if he could tell Sierra to reconsider him and to go with him. And
Which
that's
she does.
Which, yeah, Lip ends up telling her to do it. But in doing so, while Lip is like taking Debbie to Planned Parenthood, he runs into that guy with another woman and she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's when Lip finds out that this guy had been two-timing her and now has another kid with some other woman.
Yeah.
So he tells Sierra, and Sierra obviously has this big, or no, he doesn't tell Sierra. Sierra finds out.
Yeah.
He never tells her. But she finds out, has this big meltdown, and she ends up moving away.
That's right.
And that's how that ends with her. But because Lip was so fucked up in his alcoholism and he started going to AA, he met, what's his name again? Brad. He met Brad, and Brad decides to take him under his wing, be his sponsor, and teach him how to be a mechanic.
And so to the end of the series, Lip is a mechanic.
Yes. He
Also,
is stuck in Southside.
We skipped over a little tech firm arc where he works at like a tech place. that,
Yeah,
like,
but nothing
scams.
happens.
Yeah, but nothing happens.
But yeah, so he becomes a mechanic.
And that's
And he meets Tammy Tamaretti,
which is Brad's
sister's Brad's wife, who is his sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Brad's wife's sister.
So.
And they fuck at a wedding.
But they don't hit it off.
They don't hit it off at all. Actually,
She
it's actually
insults him.
pretty gross. Yeah, like they fuck in a closet with like, and then she pukes. And, like, it's disgusting.
And then she's like, "Yeah, you were kind of like a 3." And then he's like, "I can be better." And then so they keep fucking so he can like improve his like reading
score. His Tamaretti reading.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The scale.
So they keep fucking, and I guess at some point it just turns into like they start to catch feelings for each other, but it's like it's not really made clear for a while if she does like him or doesn't.
She is she has like, she's got big boundaries. She's got like a barrier. She's got a wall. She doesn't let people in, and she uses being sarcastic and being a bitch as a defense mechanism. And Lip is like confused as to whether or not she likes him, and so he's kind of like, you're the only bitch I'm fucking.
Yeah.
And she kind of like implies that she's fucking like her old like hometown friend Boone.
Yes.
And it's like really weird, and she is waiting for him to kind of properly ask her out, and since he isn't, she's not taking it seriously.
Yeah. But eventually he kind of catches on, and they start going on.
He puts his foot down. This is where Lip kind of like a lot of his like.
This is when you're kind of like this is the new Lip.
Yeah,
you know?
He's like a lot more calm. He's a lot more relaxed. Like he's not as assertive as he used to be.
Yeah.
And so like he kind of just lets Tammy walk all over him in a way. It's really weird because it doesn't come from a place where he's like infatuated with her and that's why he lets it happen. It just comes from a place where he's just like mid.
Yeah.
About it all.
So
then she gets pregnant.
Oh, you're in water. Yeah. So then Tammy gets pregnant, and it's a thing of like, well, are you gonna be the dad or not? He's like, I want to be the dad. And she's like, well, we're not like a thing, so yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
also it's a thing where uterus cancer, uterus cancer runs in her family, and she doesn't know if she has the genes where having the baby will help her in living longer or not having the baby will help her.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know if she could even have the kid, and if she does have the kid, which she finds out having the baby would help her, she doesn't know if Lip even wants to be there or be involved.
So Lip eventually makes it clear that he does want to be the dad.
And that he wants to be involved, and that, he wants them to be together. And they start establishing their relationship, and as they're doing it,
At that point, you're like, okay, I
you're
kind of like Tammy.
kind of happy. Yeah, Tammy's all right, but they're living in the Gallagher house.
Yeah,
And
they're like,
it's crazy.
Lip already had like weeks with the kid while she was recovering in hospital, so Lip's trying to like tell her what to do and like how to do it, which pisses her off. And she starts to think Lip is like two-timing her for a while with one of the
Like a mommy and me person he meets at an AA meeting.
Yeah, and so there's like a little conflict, but Lip eventually is like, okay, I know you hate living in the Gallagher house, so I bought an RV.
So they buy an RV and they're living on the property, but it's not enough.
Yeah, it's
And
shit.
during this time, because shit is really fucked up, because of COVID, this is when COVID starts coming in. Because of COVID, Brad can no longer keep the
motorcycle place.
Yeah, the auto shop open because he has a son who was born without like a brain or something, and he has to pay like $100,000 for medical bills just to keep his kid alive. So he has to sell the auto shop, and because he sold the auto shop, the new owners essentially are like cutting everyone's pay and cutting everyone's hours, and Lip is pretty pissed. Yeah, and they fire him. So Lip has no money, no income.
And he just had a baby.
And
And he's got a bitchy wife who wants something more.
Who is a cosmetologist,
Yeah.
mind you. She's a hairdresser.
And so Lip, where does he go from here?
Lip, at this point, is trying to flip this house.
Yes, this is when he wants to start selling the Gallagher house.
Yes, this is when he decides we should sell the house and we should get the money and all go our separate ways.
Yeah, because Tammy wanted to move to a different part of Wisconsin because she was basically given a house that their family owned.
Their grandmother's house.
And
Yeah.
Lip was like, but I'm a Gallagher. I
I
can't.
have to stay in Southside.
It's all I've ever known.
Which, to be fair, like, all of his friends are in Southside, which by the end of the series they're not.
Yeah.
All his friends and family are in Southside. And on top of it, that's where, like, his meetings are and his support group is and what he's comfortable with. So he doesn't want to take that step in, like, getting pretty much a free handout by Tammy's family by living in this house that they wouldn't even own.
And so he buys a house, like a shitty
rents.
rundown house. He rents out a shitty rundown house without asking Tammy. And Tammy's basically like, fuck you. No, you're not seeing my kid. Like, you're not in this anymore.
Tammy
Fuck
is
you.
mad because he did not want to consider leaving Southside to go move into this free home.
And rented out a home without telling her.
Yeah, and rented out a home.
Like a fixer-up home.
Yeah. And so she gets pissed and she's like, I want nothing to do with you. I'm moving to fucking Wisconsin.
And so this is around the time of Mickey and Ian's wedding. And Tammy shows up for the wedding, and Ian, like, freaks out at her. She's like, no, you're not seeing my kid, you know? And he's like, it's my
Lip.
kid too. Lip, yeah, sorry. And, yeah, so they start freaking out at each other, and she leaves, and she's like, fuck you, basically.
Lip's getting mad because he's like, you can't tell me I can't see my kid when he's mine.
Yeah.
You don't get a say in where he gets to fucking live, essentially.
And so Tammy leaves, she storms out all pissed, and Lip goes to the bar, and he asks for a drink.
And he relapses.
And he relapses hard. And,
So hard that he walks drunkenly back to Brad's place and asks Brad if they can go to a meeting, and Tammy sees him.
And she feels so sorry for him being relapsing that she
decides to get back with him and stay.
Yeah,
Which is not a good reward, first off, for his relapse, but on top of it, you should have not pushed him to relapse to begin with.
And then it's not made clear throughout the rest of the series if Lip like goes back to like
AA or not.
because he gets drunk like the next episode and robs the motorcycle place for parts.
Yeah, so, and then like has Tammy lie for him to the cops about the stolen parts, to the point where she starts getting horny off of being like a criminal. And like they have like a little tiny arc there. They even like consider killing Brad at one point because Brad's gonna cave about like talking about stealing the parts. But then they drop that.
Yeah.
So then when it finally gets to the end, as
Lip
it's
wants
rearing
to-
toward the end,
Lip gets fucked over off the house because the guy's like, oh, you fixed it up. Well, I'm just gonna rent
Sell
it out
it.
to someone else. Yeah,
I'm gonna sell it
someone else.
now. And so Lip has to move back into the Gallagher house. And because he's moving back into the Gallagher house, he's deciding he's going to fix up the Gallagher house and sell it.
Yeah, because a new gentrification thing is going on where
People
they're
are buying
offering
property.
like 200 grand for homes.
To which he gets offered 200 grand for the house.
And he's like, 300 or something like that.
Yeah, he gets offered 180.
And he offers, and he says like 250.
Yeah, he says 250.
He wants more than it's worth. And basically, he fucks up his chance, and by the time he meets the girl again, she's like, oh no, they bought a different house.
Yep.
So now he goes to a guy. This guy's like, I'll buy the house for you for 10 grand. And
No, he'll buy it for him for all he had was like 50 grand.
yeah, 50, much less than
Way
what
less.
he wanted.
Which would have been the equivalent of the money that they could have gotten from Fiona if Debbie didn't spend it all.
Yeah, but no, at this point, Lip never, like, he is literally just got kicked out of his house for not, like, having enough money to buy it. And he never once is like, oh yeah, Debbie owed me fucking 10 grand.
Yeah, no, never once.
And Debbie is the only character who's, like, keeping Lip from selling the house.
Yes.
So it's like, why don't you bring up the fact that you wasted all your money, you know?
But no, Debbie does no wrong. She's a feminist.
Yeah, Debbie does no wrong at this point in this show. So, Lip doesn't know whether or not to sell the Gallagher house. And that's it, the end.
The end is he decides to sell it.
No,
Yes, it is.
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Nope.
He decides he's gonna sell it, and Ian's like, "You can take my share."
Nope. We can watch the finale again. He doesn't. It's left on a cliffhanger. It's like, so you're gonna sell the house? And he's like, I don't know.
And Ian goes, "Well, if you do, you can take my share." And he's like, "No."
Yeah, so I don't think he sold it.
I think he does.
Well, we can rewatch it.
Even then, they don't give us a definitive
Yeah.
answer. It's fucked up.
Yeah, that's all in the finale though. Frank, let's go over Frank
Okay.
quickly because there's not much to Frank.
There is a lot to
but
Frank.
There's a lot of arcs, but you just need to get down Frank's general character, I think.
Frank is a self-seeking alcoholic who doesn't give a shit about his family and only does when it's convenient.
Yeah, he's the dad of the Gallaghers, and he's like
A deadbeat.
in the first couple of seasons, like the first 2 seasons, season 1 especially, he's like really like
He's an
realistically like
asshole.
shitty to them.
He calls CPS on them.
Yeah, he
And,
fucking
and narcs on himself to get his kids taken away from Fiona.
just because he didn't like that Fiona was like gonna kick him out of the house or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he headbutts Ian because Mickey Milkovich's dad.
He strangles Debbie
Yeah, he strangles Debbie.
over meth.
Basically, he's fucked up. You know,
Yeah.
he's a awful human. But as the show goes on, they more so want to use Frank for comedy.
Yeah.
It turns into like a Homer Simpson, where every episode he has like a new scheme for like scamming people or like making money. Like he makes a big thing and he starts staying with Sheila because
He starts staying with Sheila because she just makes him food and fucks him.
and her Sheila's husband is like not
Dead. He's gone.
dead. And so he builds like a fucking contraption in her basement to build
To make his own
alcohol,
milk of the gods.
which ends up blowing up the house.
Oh yeah.
And CG explosions, which causes Sheila to leave the show.
Well, Sheila has like this complicated relationship where she keeps Frank around for companionship, and Frank wants to keep her being agoraphobic, but she slowly starts branching out more and more and starts getting out of her house more and more until it gets to a point where she like can finally walk out on her own. So she decides that she wants to leave and go hit the road with Frank, but Frank doesn't want to commit.
Because he doesn't want to leave Southside.
Yeah.
Because he wants to save it from being gentrified.
Yeah, that is his arc at that point.
And so Sheila's arguing with Karen, I think. No, it's Sammy.
No, it's Sammy.
She's arguing with Sammy, and she's arguing so much that she runs out the house when it's going to be like blown up, and it's blown up, and Frank's like, Sheila, you're outside. And she's like, oh, cool. So then she goes in the fucking van and drives away.
She was already not agoraphobic at that point.
Yeah, but she was like, didn't they make a big point out of that though? Or no, I'm thinking earlier in
that
the
was
show.
the plane engine falls down in
that's
front of
not what
her.
I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of earlier when she runs out the house and Frank's like, you're out of the house. That's like season 1.
Yeah.
So Frank, from this point after Sheila's out of the picture, they don't know what to do with him. He just is like wandering around, like getting into different hijinks.
They have a point where like obviously he has this like on and on relationship with Monica, the mom, the wife. And every time Monica comes back, him and her hit it off. And like towards the end of Sheila and stuff, when Monica comes back, Monica has a brain tumor and she's gonna die. She obviously dies. And Frank has this whole thing where like he wants to redo his vows and he's like so in love with her, and like the only thing that matters is her, up until she's gone, to which he resents her. And as he resents her, he realizes that he has been a no good, dirty, rotten scoundrel, and he decides that he wants to do better and wants to contribute to society. So
he gets a job.
Yeah, he gets a job.
And he does good at it, and I'm like, oh, I like Frank now. Like he's just doing.
He like
nice
helps
things.
Liam.
Yeah.
He fucks all the teacher, like the parents and the
Yeah.
PTA at Liam's school. But pretty much, like, yeah, it is what it is. Like, he just is, like...
He starts becoming, like, a cartoon... He's the mascot for the series, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, what wacky thing is Frank gonna get up to this week?
And he's also, like, the plot point to, like, ruin or sabotage the family.
Yeah, but even though in season 1 he was, like a realistic, like, abusive dad.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it gets less and less as the series goes on. There's one point where he almost dies because of liver failure, which he gets a replacement for. And the next season is spent with him, like, I have to limit myself on alcohol. I can only
drink 1 beer a day.
Yeah, and it's him, like, trying to limit himself, or else he'll die. But then after that, they just forget about it. You know,
Yeah.
he starts fucking...
He's an alcoholic all
Yeah.
through and through. And then, you know, as it goes on, Frank decides to enter into these games called the Hobo Loco Man contest.
Not necessary.
It is necessary because it shows you his best friend.
It's the shittiest part of the show. I hate this part.
Yeah, it's a whole episode where Frank decides to enter this contest of who is the most like putrid hobo man
To
be
advertise
the
a
face
new, like, alcoholic drink.
called Hobo Loco.
Yeah.
And that's when he meets his best friend, Hobo Loco Man. Mexican Hobo Loco Man.
If anyone's seen the new Wednesday Addams show, it
He's-
is,
He's he's the dad.
yeah,
What's his name?
I don't know, Frank, Mr. Beast.
Yeah, Baba Booey. And so, as he meets this guy, they end up becoming best friends. And through the remainder of the series, they go on fucking shenanigans trying to scam people.
Until he dies and you're meant to care about it.
Yeah, until he's like dying and needs like fucking dialysis. So he ends up like assaulting a police officer to go to jail. And Frank is really, really sad because he's losing his best friend. And the only advice his friend gives him is never stop drinking, which is pretty shit advice.
Yeah.
To which Frank doesn't stop drinking.
And then in the last season, it's made clear that Frank has dementia.
He has, onset dementia induced by alcohol.
And it's like sad. I think that
it is kind of sad.
I think
honestly.
that they build his dementia subtly, to the point where it's like, in one episode he'll like forget something, or like, and then like maybe 2 episodes later, maybe like twice in an episode.
He gets confused.
Yeah, and so
like doesn't know where he is.
Yeah, and by the end of the series, he's like wandering around, not knowing where he's going. He doesn't know which house is his.
And Liam is like helping him and
none,
trying to do his best.
Liam's trying to help, but none of the other Gallaghers care. They're like, fuck off.
None of them even like.
Yeah, they don't even.
They
know.
don't find out till later. Till he goes
like
to the
second
hospital.
last episode, they don't find out.
And they don't care.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay.
So then Frank decides to leave a suicide note, and he tries to overdose on heroin.
It's meant to be like really serious. Like it comes off like his death scene. It comes off like that's the end of it. Like that's his finale. And then like he writes a suicide note. He takes one last thing of like heroin or whatever, and he sits there and he like closes his eyes and dies.
But he doesn't die.
And then he doesn't die. The next episode starts up.
With everyone staring at him, being like, "Is he still breathing?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And they just ignore him.
This is when they have Debbie's new like girl like trying to be funny about it, and it's like, I don't
like
care
going
what
into
you
his
have to say. Like,
wallet.
yeah, and so then it cuts over, and it's like maybe you left a note or something. Like all the characters are gone at this point, and then it cuts to the suicide note like written on the thing, and Debbie's fucking kid Franny is
like
scribbling on it.
all over it.
Yeah.
But as it gets to the very end, the whole episode, this is the finale.
This is the finale of Shameless.
The whole last episode is
Terrible.
it is terrible. And it's shit. And it wraps up, it does not wrap anything up. Essentially, we told you what happens with Debbie. That's essentially what happens with Debbie. She meets this bitch, moves away. We tell you, Mark kind of offhandedly put it, but essentially, Ian and Mickey are both like doing their regular day, going about their day.
The finale is about them.
It is about them. They're going about their day, and Ian keeps being like, "You know what day it is today?" And Mickey keeps going like,
What? Tuesday? What? Baba Booey? I don't know.
Don't forget to come to the Alibi bar later.
He's like, "We're going to the Alibi at 7, or the Alibi at 7. So come to the Alibi around 7." And mind you, like the Alibi room it's the bar that Kevin V own, and so they all go to the bar at the end of the day. It's this big plan. They're all gonna be there. Everyone's going to the Alibi at 7, right? And Frank is missing. Nobody knows where Frank is. He's just gone.
Yeah.
He just left. And Frank is like walking around in a daze, like not knowing where he's going.
He goes to like a church.
And thinks he's an altar boy again.
He tries to go to Petsy's because he's looking for Fiona or something.
And it's closed
like that.
down.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of just wandering around, and Liam is trying to find him. Liam is like looking around for Frank this last episode, and Carl is just kind of like writing tickets for people.
Yeah, he's doing his meter maid thing. That's his character.
That's his thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last episode for Carl, let's go in order. Liam, not much happens. His is related to Frank. Debbie is with the girl. Carl has a one-off line in the final scene at the bar where the guy's
with
like,
the milk toast guy.
Yeah, because Kevin V are leaving.
They're
Chicago.
selling the bar.
Yeah, and he's like,
This would be a good cop bar.
And then Carl's like, yeah, it kind of would.
And they just offhandedly mention how they would consider taking the bar and running it.
Yeah, and that's it. That's what's left
then
there.
Ian and Lip have one final dialogue where it's the question: do they sell the house?
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know. And then Lip's like, Tammy's pregnant again.
Yep.
And it's like, you gonna keep it? And he's like, yeah.
And so they all get a shitty ending except Ian and Mickey.
And then Ian walks into the bar and Mickey's like, happy anniversary, yay!
And they're celebrating their
play
anniversary.
the 5 Nights at Freddy's cheering music.
But the kazoo. the 5 Nights at Freddy's kazoo.
So it's like, the whole thing was building up to Mickey celebrating Ian and their anniversary, their wedding anniversary.
That's the finale.
Sweet. That's the finale.
Mind you, at this time, Frank is picked up and he's in the hospital and he's fucking dying.
And the nurse is like grabbing him, and he's like, Fiona, is that you?
It's the first time they mention Fiona.
And then, since she left, and the doctor's like, he was asking for someone called Fiona.
And they're like, we need to look in his files for a contact number. And then it's like this big giant cart with a bunch of files. And they're like, well, I'm going to have to sift through this. And you're thinking they're going to contact somebody.
You're thinking it's going to be a shot of like a phone and someone's going to pick it up and it's going to be like,
and they all go to the fucking hospital or something.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it just cuts to Frank, who's now in the bar in his hospital gown.
and he's looking at everybody floating above them.
He's looking at everyone like he's sitting in the bar, and then he's slowly like rising. And then as he goes up through the building, he like looks down and sees all the Gallaghers, all the characters standing outside laughing at like a car
fire.
A car from a rich person burning down.
Yeah.
And so they're all laughing and they're singing the song that is played in episode 1.
The very beginning of the first episode.
It's meant to parallel the first episode because the first episode starts with Frank
around a trash fire.
The first episode starts with Frank giving his like intro for all his kids. He's like, this is Fiona, the apple of my eye, like like
Debbie, the little angel.
Yeah. He's like he's giving his intro. So he's giving his new like final thoughts on all the characters.
It's his suicide note.
It's his suicide note. He's reading it out like and even though none of the characters ever saw it because fucking Franny scribbled all over it. So it's not the characters reacting to it. It's just us hearing his suicide note.
It's us hearing his suicide note that is paralleled to the very first statement he made, which also does not match. Yeah, and they don't mention Fiona.
They don't mention his daughter Fiona. He does not have anything in his suicide note about Fiona, and he's just like, "Oh, Debbie, what a fuck up!" Like
he shits on all of them.
He's like, Debbie, you're like Monica, you're crazy. You're gonna have like make a lot of mistakes in your life.
You're probably gonna run off and do some stupid shit, which she does.
And then he's like, Ian, I didn't see you marrying a Milkovich, shit like that, which is like, okay, that's fine.
He's just shitting on
all of them. And then he's like, Lip, you had so much potential, but look at you, you just got some bitch pregnant, and then it's like, Liam, Baba Booey.
Yeah, he says pretty much nothing about Liam, which sucks, because Liam was the one who got the closest with him
and he doesn't mention Fiona at all, his fucking daughter. His firstborn daughter, and the show ends with him like
floating in the air.
He's floating in space, and he looks to the camera and like lifts his beard and like does a Jake the dog face.
It's so shit, and he dies.
That's how the
he
show
dies.
ends with him dying. And it's like, holy shit. It's like, if they had killed him off previously when he did the heroin, I would have been sad. I'd be like, oh.
That would have been a good one, because the whole last episode could have been like, kind of like how Monica dies, where they end up finding a lot of shit that Monica had left behind that she showed that she actually did care.
Yeah, you do not get to see any of the characters react to Frank's death.
I was telling this to Mark, where a way better ending would have been where when the nurses are like, let's go through his contact files, they find Fiona's number, and it's Fiona coming back. And they don't even have to get the, like, same actress. It could have just been someone who looked like Fiona. But it should have been Fiona being the last person seeing Frank alive.
It should have been all the Gallaghers celebrating at the bar, and then it cuts, and it's, like, a shot of Frank laying on the bed, and then you see the back of Fiona, who's, like, sitting there with him.
Who's standing there next to him.
As he dies.
That would have been, or even better, is Liam doesn't make it to the bar, and Liam is the last person with Frank before he dies.
I wouldn't have liked that as much.
I would have liked that. I would like that
more, but I would have liked Fiona more.
Yeah, no.
Fiona was actually
they never bring
up
Fiona. They never bring her back.
Yeah, which is weird because clearly it was like...
The whole thing was about Fiona. Like the whole show was about
Fiona.
Like, more than half of the show was about Fiona.
Which makes me wonder... Do we watch the entire British series, or
we have to.
Should I watch the finale right now? Do you want to watch the finale of the British series?
Right now?
Yeah. So...
Do you want to watch... Really?
Yeah, sure. Shameless is based off a British show called Shameless.
Which is called Shameless. Which, mind you, the very first, 4 episodes that me and Mark had watched is beat for beat the same fucking thing as the American one.
Yeah, so...
5 minutes later.
Frank doesn't die.
That was a better ending.
And Monica's still alive.
That was a way better ending.
That is a way better ending.
Showing that, I like that little speech that Frank gave about, not being a part of his kids' lives.
But also, was that my throat?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Also, him explaining how he loves him and he hates him at the same time.
Yeah.
Rather than him just being a dick at the end, showing that he doesn't give a shit about them.
Yeah. That was better. So that was Shameless. That's Shameless.
That is Shameless.
A show that I like a lot, but half of
it
is really bad.
Yeah.
Half of it is not even worth watching.
But the beginning of it is worth rewatching over and over.
Worth rewatching, yeah.
I think, like I said, I've rewatched that show so many fucking times.
Yeah, I can see why.
It's so good. But it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it gets shit.
Yeah.
It's not. It's more of it is bad than good.
Yeah, I would agree.
But the first
the first 5 seasons, good.
Yeah, 4 seasons of it, good. 5 and 6 and 7 are then everything from there is shit. And then the finale is fucking the cherry on top. You don't find out what happens to any of the characters. Anyone who does make a decision is the wrong one.
Yeah.
Frank dies.
Except Mickey and Ian.
Except for Mickey and Ian. Frank dies with no fucking fanfare. He just dies.
He just dies and no one sees it, and he just like is CG'd floating above everybody.
Yeah.
It's fucking lame. Which, mind you, they've never done anything like that before. Multiple characters have died throughout the series, and nothing like that had ever been done.
Nothing that fantastical where it's like life after death.
Yeah, no. It's so annoying. So annoying.
So guys, we hope you enjoyed this New Year's, end of year episode
End of year
special.
episode.
Thank you guys for supporting the podcast for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys stick around.
We do though. Just to say, we do want to do more episodes where we go over series.
Yeah. So if you guys have any shows you think we should watch,
The next one we're gonna do is Breaking Bad.
Whenever I
Mark
get-
has never seen Breaking Bad.
yes, and then we will do more in the future if you give some recommendations.
Yeah, put some comments below. What shows you'd want
Put
me
some
and Mark to
babas,
talk
put some
about.
buoys,
Yeah, definitely put a Baba Booey in there. And then, Joe, could you put a little jigsaw in the corner?
and have a speech
Frank.
bubble coming out of
Have Frank sitting on the tricycle.
and have a speech bubble coming out saying, "Comment, have a Baba Booey New Year." Yeah.
Yeah.
When do we stop that?
No, that's it. That's great. Bye.
Bye.